Hello and welcome to Windy City Weasels Game 408. How's everybody doing tonight?
Woo!
Awesome. I'd like to introduce a couple of familiar faces to our stream. First up, Tanya, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Tanya, and I'm usually on the side of the player, but hopefully I can weigh in on something. I don't know what you want me to say. I've played diplomacy for 3 years. Um, I think I'm decent at it, and I'm excited to see what other people do and finally get to be mean to people instead of having people be mean to me. Just kidding.
That's why we're all doing this. Siobhan, you are a very familiar face to our stream viewers. Why don't you remind everyone who you are?
Hi, I'm Siobhan Nolan. I am current president of the NADF, North American Diplomacy Federation. I only ever do the streams as a commentator because the idea of playing this game as a socially distant player causes me great anxiety, and so much respect to all of you that you're doing it and for giving me so much fodder to critique and be, I hope, not too mean. I'm not trying to be mean, I promise. And Tanya needs to give herself more credit. She is so much better than she laid herself out to be.
Absolutely. And my name is Brian Preble. I am the prime weasel of the Windy City Weasels, which really means that I keep our board members in line and only cast votes when there's a tie. So I let everybody else do work for me. I am filling in for Brandon Fogel. He usually has the host role. Brandon is acting as a GM in this game. So with that, let's go ahead and introduce our game and our players.
Yes.
I'd like to point out what the board draw looks like. In Austria, we have West Ketchum. West Ketchum is a weasel, and he is currently in second place in our league. England is Christian Brown. Christian has played 3 or 4 games with us. He's been playing a lot on the online community, and he will be filling England. In France, we have Jay Honnold. Jay is actually joined with Wes. They both started in our league this year, and as you can see in the rankings, they have taken this league by storm. Jay is currently in 5th place in the league and will be in France. In Germany, we have Cori Neslund. Cori joined our club last year, and she is a sneak member and absolutely tore up the league last year, soloing in her first tournament and one of her first diplomacy games, actually. Really, really quick learner. In Italy, we have the only non-weasel on the board. So it will be the Australian Peter McNamara, not to be confused with the Chicago Peter McNamara, who will be taking on the Weasels. So Australia versus the Weasels. We'll see how this goes. In Russia, we have Carlos Treveino. Carlos is a longtime player with the Weasels. He and I joined around the same time. I think he joined slightly before I did. He has traveled to a few tournaments, may be known to some of the traveling tournament hobby, and is all around a really good person. He is currently in 9th place in our league. And in Turkey, we have Christian Kline. Christian Kline is in 3rd place and is coming off a win, tournament win at Virtual DixieCon. So, Siobhan, I'll let you go first. Is there anything you noticed about this board that looks interesting to you?
So, I mean, much respect for the Australian Peter McNamara stepping into a board of weasels. Like, that's rough. I've been at weasel-heavy tournaments. A couple of moots I've been to. It's not an easy place to be. Peter is a solid player, and I wish him the best. Cori, I love you so much. You were one of my favorite, and You know what? You and I, we had that prom photo together, and that will last with us forever.
This prom photo?
Oh, yes. Oh, there it is. Oh, God. It's... So, for those of you who don't know, we did a formal round at WACCon in 2019, which is the North American Diplomacy Championships, and they did a black tie round. And all but exactly 7 people showed up in style. But I think Cori and I killed it the best. I bought a tux to sort of do what I do best and subvert all expectations.
Fantastic. Tanya, is there anything that you noticed about this lineup? Any players you recognize or anything that looks interesting to you?
Well, I don't really know much about the players here, but it did sound like you said that quite a few of them are like new or upcoming, and you did say that they are doing really well.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited to get to know these players and play with them in future tournaments. Sounds like Chicago's finally going to have its comeback.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some great talent that's been very active, so we're happy to see that.
Yeah, and before you drop off this list, number 6 in your list is a Bay Area player from California, Ariel. Just saying.
He's everywhere recently, huh?
Yeah, Ariel's doing awesome, so just want to give him a shout out.
Yeah, and in Ariel's credit, 2 games at the score of 60. That's very, very impressive.
Solid.
So for those who are not familiar with Windy City Weasel League scoring, the way that we score our league is you take your top 3 scores, and then you take an average of all of the rest. So if you play 5 games like Ali Adib has, his top 3 equal 125 points. His average is almost 15 points. So his total comes out to 140 points. So there is some advantage by playing more games because you've got higher odds of getting a top 3 score, but that's kind of balanced out by the risk of bad games potentially reducing that average score. One thing I would like to point out is in Turkey and Austria, we have Christian Kline, who is in 3rd place, and West Ketchum, who is in 2nd place in the league standing. So it's going to be very interesting. Let's keep an eye on whether they decide to work together or if they attack each other right out of the gate.
Yeah. And I will say that in the comments, Chris Kelly, another Weasel, is pointing out whether or not we'll see repaid favors. So I think he's speaking about a specific game that I may not remember right now.
Our most recent game, Christian Kline made a decision in which he kind of justified his behavior as saying, hey, you need to remember that people they've got memories and they may pay favors depending on how you act at the end of the game. So there's been a lot of conversation in the league about whether or not that's true and et cetera, but we'll see. All
right, I have my own opinions about weasels. I'll table them for now. We'll get there later.
All right, so just at a glance, Tanya, I know you don't know these players as well, but Siobhan, you had to pick one player to say, hey, they probably had the best shot based on what you know. Who would you pick?
Very unfortunately, I think it's probably Christian Kline. I've known him the longest. Second after that is probably a tie between Cori Neslund and Peter McNamara. As new as Cori is, she's so good. Carlos, as much as I love him, I love you, Carlos. When you're watching this later, I'm not trying to slight you. I'm going to tie the rest in 3rd.
All right. Well, with that, let's get to the moves. We will join in spring 1901. Tanya, I'll let you go first. What do you notice about these moves?
Oh, so we've got a early English move into the channel with a follow-up to Wales. So that's pretty aggressively not friendly to France, from what I can tell. Burgundy remains open. The Italian moves are actually kind of interesting. Puglia and Rome to Venice, I think. Why?
So yeah,
Why
it's
do that?
Rome to Venice, Venice to Apulia. I'll let Tanya take this, but why is this interesting? Why is this different?
I actually don't think I've seen that very often. You should tell me. Why do this?
I'm not going to tell you so much as just say that the standard move is Rome goes to Apulia and Venice just holds.
Yeah.
And so for me, what this says is, hey, I'm setting myself up for the same standard setup regardless, because the armies are in the same place they would have been with the other. But I was nervous about what the Austrian might do, and Rome went to Venice to bounce Trieste out in case Trieste went straight to Venice.
Yep.
So why wouldn't holding Venice just accomplish the same thing?
You're leaving Venice open. This is a very trusting move, like saying to the French, I'm guaranteeing that I know that the French are never going to go to Piedmont, because leaving Venice completely open if the Austrian bounce happened is really dangerous if the French are in Piedmont later. But I mean, I guess you still have Army Rome. It's really interesting to me. When we had Andrew Goff from Australia on the stream recently, he talked about how the Australian tactics were very much different from North American tactics. And so this might be newer in Australia. Maybe it's a regional thing. But I'm kind of with you, Tanya. The more I look at it, like, why not just hold Venice and move Rome to Apulia? This seems overly cautious.
Tanya, is there anything else that you see that's of note?
Yes, I've found the signature. What I've heard in the last few weeks is that Chicago loves Armenia. Now, yeah. I actually kind of like that move as Turkey. So I know I sympathize with Chicago quite a bit. But I see Turkey here has not.
We love hearing that, Tanya. What is it that you like about that move?
So I feel like a lot of the time as Turkey, you are kind of stuck hoping that, like, maybe the AI fights each other and you can get somewhere. I think when you open Armenia, you kind of declare that you're willing to work with Austria. Like, I've seen so few games where, like, an AT actually works out. And if you open to Armenia, you can actually pitch for an AT to work out as Turkey way more than you can otherwise. I think it just, in terms of alliance flexibility, it gives you a bit more. And you can also ultimately back off of Russia if you feel that you need to.
Siobhan, I noticed in the north we have an opening to the English Channel. I think Tanya pointed that out.
Yes,
I've noticed that a lot in our live streams. Do you have any thoughts about why that might be the case?
So I have many thoughts about why that might be the case. Chris Martin, I love you, and he's got a whole article and a whole rant on a Diplomacy Cast podcast episode years and years and years ago about why England should always move to the English Channel. And it has been a subject of discussion. But I've seen this London to Ing and Liverpool to Wales move, like opening for England, more and more popular. I am not convinced. I have had many conversations with Chris Martin about this, and he has tried to sell me on it. I'm not sure it's the right thing to do. But that might be the old school in me. I have been playing this game for 16 years plus. So, I don't know. I'd rather be in Norwegian and North than English and North this early.
I think it's very rare that I open to the English as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's so hard for me to want to, like, paint an enemy in 1901.
That's exactly it. Like, either France or England goes to the channel in spring 01, you have an immediate enemy. There's no way that's a pretty thing. Like, oh yeah, I'm just going to convoy to Belgium. I'm going to support myself in. Like, well, now you've got an army in Ruhr and army in Picardy who can stop that if they want to because they're angry that you did this. No.
So one thing Andrew Goff pointed out last week's stream, that the English are committing very, very heavily and lose out on a lot of flexibility whenever they choose this opening.
Yes.
So they, if it works, it can be very good, but you're putting a lot of eggs in that one basket really early on.
Yep.
So I guess we'll find out if it pays off.
I mean, I have been wrong so many times on the stream, so I'm probably wrong again.
All right. Anything else that either of you noticed about the openings?
Let me just take a quick look. Bounce in black, bounce in Galicia, blah, blah, blah. Meh.
Anything that you like?
I appreciate the untraditional Italian opening, even if it resulted in the same thing.
I don't see why he does it unless he was planning on bouncing in Venice or something. I don't see the point.
But I mean, why wouldn't you? You can still protect Venice, it turns out, even if you bounce. Well, okay, unless French Army Piedmont and Austrian Fleet Trieste decide to work against you. But really, you have an AF this early?
All right, let's see what happens. Fall 1901. Siobhan, I'll let you start with this one. What immediately jumps out at you?
Oh, England gets 2. They let him get away with it. He gets Norway. Oh, why? Germany supports him into Belgium. Okay, that jumps out at me. Okay, France, J. I'm sure you're great. I remember you from a few previous streams, but I have done a lot of these streams, and so everyone's starting to blur together. The self-bounce is too safe a take here. Like, either just give up on Belgium and move Picardy back, but take both of Spain and Portugal. Do not hamper yourself in this way. This is problematic. Now you only get 1 build. You needed more than this, especially with the 2 build England right now. Let me jump over to the other side of the board. We've got no bounce in Sweden. Fine. Okay. That's kind of my opinion. I need to be very, very convinced to bounce Russia out of Sweden. I like that. Turkey takes the black. Fine. Bulgaria holds. Fine. Convoy to Tunis. Okay. Trying to convince for some sort of Lepanto, but seems sloppy if it's happening. Tanya?
Brandon Fogel just chimed in on the comments. He said that he's the GM of this game. He said Peter in Italy gasped loudly when these orders were revealed.
I'm sure he did.
Italy.
I'm sure it was a very calculated gasp.
So you're not buying that, Tanya?
Yeah, I'll bounce you out of Trieste. Oh, maybe I won't bounce you out of Trieste. Oops. I think it's interesting, the Venice hold with the move to Trieste. You know, I think they must have. Austria clearly does not trust Italy very much here. Mm-hmm. Instead of bouncing Russia out of Gal, they've decided to cover Trieste. Whether or not it was supposed to be a bounce, I wouldn't like it as Austria, right? Like, yeah, I've got a Russia that might come into Gal for one reason or another. You know, I don't want to waste my unit moving to Trieste.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be shocked if there's some, like, I want to say there's a potential to just, like, slaughter Austria here, but then again, like, Italy also convoyed to Tunis, so we'll see. It might just be an AI versus RT at this point.
I'm confused myself, Tanya, and it's as I've said many times on the stream, is we don't have insight into the negotiations you guys are having, and I apologize when we make assumptions just based solely on the moves, but sometimes we're very confused.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I imagine so, right? Like, all we can really do is look at the board and be like, oh, this is what it looks like to, you
Yeah,
know,
but I
if
mean,
this was a
Tanya,
gunboat game.
can we agree that the only objectively awful move on this board is the self bounce and breast?
Yes, absolutely. I hate that. I hate that very much.
Like,
What?
you knew you didn't have a shot at Belgium. Fine, protect Brest with Picardy. At least take both of Iberia, Spain and Portugal.
I guess like you do that if you desperately want to build Fleet Brest, right? Like if you're in Brest and then you want to build a fleet, it's in Marseille. It's going to take a turn or two to get up to where you need it to be relevant, right? So sometimes, if you think Germany's on your side, maybe you don't need that second build immediately.
Okay.
You bounce, you build a fleet, and then like that would be my rationale for that.
Okay, so there's the sell, is maybe France thought that Germany was a friend and wanted to leave Brest open for a build. Okay.
And it's very likely that Germany could be a friend still at this point, right? Like the support into Bell doesn't really tell us anything.
Well, and I will say this because hello, anyone who still has bingo cards. Belgium is where English armies go to die. Like, just don't. Just not this early. It's not. Anyway.
So one thing,
and we also should point out that like, if it was like a true alliance, there would be some kind of incentive for Germany to bounce Russia out of Sweden as well, right? So they didn't do that. Maybe they trust Russia. Maybe Russia's like, I'll leave you alone, whatever. But you would think like a solid EG, England might ask Germany to bounce Russia.
one thing that's interesting to me, I was having a conversation about the move to the channel with Chris Kelly. And Chris has been around the hobby for a long time, as have I. And when you've been around for a while, you see different, I call them a meta, but different moves that are more common than others. And one of the things Chris pointed out, and I think I've observed it as I've seen more and more of these moves to the channel, there's a tendency for Russia and Germany to cooperate a little more in Scandinavia when England is pushing south. And I think it's very telling that Denmark did not bounce Sweden here. Whereas with the more northern opening, I think it's much more common that you see Denmark making that bounce. So I think that's something to keep an eye on is what is this Russia, Germany, Scandinavia going to look like with England getting two builds here? Is there anyone's position right now that you like, Tanya? If you had to pick any position from here, who would you pick?
I feel like it's so early in the game that like
it is.
I wouldn't know. Obviously, I want to be Germany here. I don't think Germany has any, like potential threat. It can go any way at this point, but no one here seems to be gunning for Germany, which is nice, as Germany in 1901. So maybe Germany, but the board has so much left to say that I can't pick something like that. What about you?
Like you said, it's super early. I've got a Turkish fleet in the Black Sea with Christian Kline in Turkey. I don't hate this position. I don't hate it at all. So if I had to put money down right now, that's where I would go.
Right, and so Bulgaria didn't bounce Russia out of Romania, right? So there's probably some kind of alliance going on there as well. The Armenia just to sort of keep Russia in check, I suppose.
Yeah. Siobhan, how about you?
I mean, I see all of that, and I respect that y'all have your favorite countries, but I'm not hating the Austrian. There's a lot of chaos around the Austria position right now that I think I like. And if you're the Austrian, you got your 2 builds, you put your 2 armies down, and you have a lot of play on the board. And this isn't awful. And again, I'm not party to negotiations, but I think I like being Austria. So go West. I'm rooting for you.
You've got an army in Gal and an army in Rum. What is there to love about that? I would be stressed.
I mean, no, I never bounce Gal in Fall of 01. If the Russian wants to get in there, I'm putting down 2 armies in Vienna and Budapest anyway.
Right.
So let's take it. Austria is one of my favorites, and it's a confusing concept for people. I'm not sure I'm actually convinced.
England gets 2 builds. What are you building here?
England gets 2 builds. What do you build? Oof.
Fleet London, Fleet Liverpool.
You're doing Fleet?
I think I would at this point.
It very much depends on whether or not I truly believe the German is my friend. But I would love to see Fleet Liverpool, Army London.
I think that's
Dial those armies in as fast as you can.
I think that's probably what I would build as well, just because I don't feel like obviously I'm not in the negotiations, but I don't feel like I've got a solid enough read on the relationships here. I think the army is good for moving in against France and gives me some defense if I get it. All right, let's check out the builds. All right, we do have indeed the Fleet Liverpool, Army London. Any other builds that stand out? Tanya?
You have Army St. Petersburg.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I'm gonna take Norway, but I'm not gonna be aggressive towards you kind of build, I think. Maybe. Or just flexibility and an agreement with Germany not to build in Warsaw. That could also be possible.
Siobhan, anything jump out at you?
2 armies in Germany.
Yeah, I mean,
which is like
in Germany, which is actually really boring. I would love to have seen Fleet Kiel, which I think would have been the right move. Like, even if England is your friend, Cori, we'll talk about this later. No, you put down an extra fleet. England is always going to be the fleet power, but you need to have some sway. You need to, oh no, I want to put it in Baltic so I can take Sweden, so I can do blah, 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 blah.
If you're going to do a long-term EG, you probably want to build that fleet right now because it just gets harder and harder to justify a fleet built to your ally later in the game. And you want 2 fleets. You don't want to just be stuck on 1 fleet.
It's like Germany almost always gets it 2 builds in 01. One of them has to be a fleet.
Yes.
And I have very strong feelings there are only rare cases where that fleet should be in Berlin.
Yes.
It's if Kiel is not open and well, you've tied yourself into an alliance that you just are handcuffed into with England, that pissing them off would spell your doom. That's the only reason to build Fleet Berlin. Like, Kiel can do everything Berlin can do. I mean, I guess Fleet Berlin could go to Prussia, but what does Fleet Prussia do? Anyway, that's a rant. So, sorry, Cori, Kiel should have been a fleet.
Completely agree.
So we have a comment from Brandon saying another audible gasp from the Australian Peter McNamara in Winter 01.
Oh.
I don't know what he's gasping about this time.
The American COVID air to his clean Australian lungs.
It's the air has never been cleaner in North America than during this lockdown. Let me just say.
Well, I guess we'll find out a little bit more. Okay, well, let's move on a little bit. Spring 1902. Siobhan, I think it's your turn.
Sure.
Do you want to give it a shot, Brian?
No, Brian is hosting, so we will take this. I am. Carlos. Carlos. Let me talk about. You built St. Petersburg. Do something with it. And obviously, now having seen the moves, the correct move is Sweden to Norway with St. Pete's support. But at least back up the North Coast build, or the St. Pete build, with a movement north. Don't just retreat them all down. And so we need to talk about that, Carlos. And
Well, I feel like, for Russia's sake, what probably happened in the negotiations was that they were probably like, yeah, we'll leave you alone. You can have Sweden, just focus south and we're all good. We just want to take on France. And Russia was like, yeah, I'll just, don't worry, I built an army there, but I'm moving it down. No threat to you. Just let me have Sweden. And then they were like,
Yeah, but why does building anything north? I don't see that. So that solidifies an EG that was signaled in 01 with the support of the English army in fall of 01. The German gets into Burgundy. Yeah, the EG is just going to try and roll, but hey, France, respect, Jay, you got the English Channel. You're forcing them to retreat. They didn't get into Picardy, which they tried to do. But Italy, Peter McNamara is taking so much advantage of this situation, this chaos.
So as France here, why do you hold Spain's south coast instead of moving it up to Gascony?
That's a good question. I mean,
you think he's trying to take Portugal?
I think that he's expecting to want to take Portugal with it in the fall, but expects that MAO will be needed to support English Channel, which he's correct about. Let's be wise.
But the move to Burgundy was to us was very obvious, right?
Cori, this is exactly why you want the second German fleet. You want pressure on the north. No, I'm your ally, but just a fleet gives me more flexibility. I have to go against the Russian if he gets too wily. I think the French player is going to be okay. What I'm really curious to see about in fall is what happens surrounding Marseille, because you get in this weird guessing game of like, do I bounce it out or do I use the army to go to Portugal? And so possibly losing Marseille, this 50-50 that we all debate in our heads.
It'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think the other thing I noticed that was interesting, it does not appear to me as if we have a RT after all.
No, it's absolutely not an RT. This is an AI. With the eye being a little shady.
Well, I think it's an RT now.
Well, I think it should be an RT now. Carlos, Christian, get y'all shit together. I see in the comments Chris Kelly asking, where's Fleet England retreating to? It retreats to Wales.
All right. Let's move on and let's find out what happens. Tanya, why don't you take us through? Let's start with France.
Oh, I was looking at the total opposite side of the board there. Okay.
No, just start on the opposite side of the board because.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start with Russia because.
Sorry, Brian.
You're good.
Yeah, I guess they've taken the opportunity to just get rid of Turkey. I don't know if there's any, hard feelings there. because of the move to Armenia early on or whatnot, but I guess that's not working out. What is Italy? So Italy convoyed back, has decided that the East is not going to be where they set their sights, and has now gone to attack France. And it turns out that France decided Portugal instead of taking Marseille. All right. What else happens?
So
Well, they don't
much.
lose Paris.
Just
Okay. I think Tanya is cutting out a little bit.
So maybe take over.
Yeah, so let me take over a sec because I think that your internet is getting a little spotty. You're spot on about so much of this. And yeah, the RT that we were trying to predict a moment ago is clearly not gonna happen. When I liked the Austrian in spring of 01, I hate it more and more as time goes on.
Look at that north. Like,
oh, the north is no, and so what speaks to me the north the most is the German walking out of Sweden.
This must be like some kind of level of trust they've got going on there.
No, Cori took Sweden in the spring.
Oh,
walk out of it in the fall.
Oh, I actually did. I just completely forgot she didn't even have it.
Yeah, no, that is still a Russian center. So what the hell? Forgive all of my sensitive listeners right now. What in God's green earth happened between Cori and Carlos in these negotiations to get like Norway to North, Sweden to Baltic, Bothnia to St. Pete? Like everyone's just like, oh, my bad, sorry. Are we serious?
I kind of like it. It's actually really entertaining. They were
I
just
love it.
like, let's just not fight.
I love it. And are we seeing sort of a like late 02 breaking Northern Alliance of England, Germany, and Russia just being like, hey, why don't we all just push down?
Yeah. I mean, as England, I love allying with Russia. I love that top of the board alliance quite a bit.
No,
so it's kind of exciting to see what's happening right now.
I am so with you, Tanya, and it's not used often enough.
This is going to be really, really interesting. I have not seen any of these since we started these online games. So.
Another interesting part is that I can't tell on this map, but did Germany take Belgium?
No, they self-bounced Ruhr and Holland.
Yeah, supported.
Oh, I see. Okay. I thought it was Ruhr to Belgium and Holland to Ruhr, but I guess I'm reading that wrong, right?
Interesting set of German orders.
Yeah. Okay. So you just she just bounced herself. Okay.
So Brandon reported that we got a little intel from the boards. He said Carlos in spring of 02, after seeing the results, said Christian is a lying SOB, and Christian responded, "Nobody trusts me." Then in the fall,
wait, which Christian? Let's be very clear: the Turkish Christian or the English Christian?
That would have been most likely the English Christian, would be my guess.
Okay. Really?
No, you're right. It's probably
it would have been the Turkish, right?
Yeah, that's Turkish Christian. Yep. So then Christian goes to talk to someone, comes back. Brandon asks, "Any better?" Christian goes, "Nope. The more I talk, the worse it gets."
That is how I feel in every diplomacy game ever.
It gets better though. In fall of 02, Brandon follows up. He asks Christian Kline, "Who's going to top this board?" And he replies, "Me." So I love the confidence. We'll see.
He's got that. But okay, how do you feel about the Italian strategy being like, I'm not going to take a piece of Turkey. You guys just deal with that. I'm going to go get some France. Do you think that's good? I'd be like, I want Smyrna at least.
Sorry, I'm distracted by other things.
I agree with you, Anya. That's yeah, definitely. All right. We also have a little more information from Brandon. He said in fall of '02, on his dissatisfaction with France taking the English Channel, Chris Brown says it's called the English Channel, not the French Channel. So,
That is beautiful, and I have heard so much snark from Diplomas players over the years about, well, it's the English channel, not the French channel. And some years ago, and I'm going to give some shade to this player on stream because he's my favorite player to give shade to, Jason Massbaum, at Whipping a couple of years ago, as France tried to build a fleet in the Mid-Atlantic Ocean. Like, literally wrote down, build fleet Mid-Atlantic.
Like, not as a joke. On purpose.
all right.
He claims to this day it was an accident. And no, it wasn't. He was trying to get one fast on it, everyone.
Let's go through builds. What are we expecting to see here?
All right, wait, who's going up here? England is staying the same. Germany is staying the same. Russia is going up one. Turkey down one, right? And Italy up one. Ooh, Italy's built. Oof.
I have one more thing to say about fall 1902, okay?
Yeah.
If I'm France and I think Italy, who just moved to Piedmont, is likely going to move to Marseille, do I want my army in Portugal instead of still in Spain bouncing an Italian out of Marseille?
Thank you. Yes.
And letting Italy get one more build.
Portugal will always be there. It is behind your line. If you can keep MAO, and even if you get kicked out of MAO, retreat to Portugal, and then you get the build anyway. The army should not be going there.
I really see no reason why, if like, not to just cover Marseille at this stage, but
Right.
who knows? Maybe it was diplomacy that failed, right? Like, we don't know that.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot on the stream. Is we're not partial to the negotiations, so maybe we missed something.
It could be France said to Italy, "Oh, Burgundy's going to move to Marseille. Can you bounce out Burgundy?" Right? Like, unlikely, but you know, it's possible. So.
Well, and I think a lot of this was set up by the previous. You don't get into this exact position without the bounce. I mean, we're just seeing the result of that bounce. So
yeah, we only see the results.
Yep.
Purely practically, imagining this was a gunboat, I moved to Marseille like 10 times out of 10, I think.
Thank you. That's the problem, and I want to reinforce this to all of you who have been players who have listened to our streams, is we are essentially treating this on the moves alone. We have so little insight, and we don't want the insight into the negotiations because we don't want to include it on the streams in live time to give anything away for players, you know who you are, who are watching the stream while you're also playing the game.
Well, right now, we do have a little bit of insight into the negotiations. We are experimenting with an addition to the stream. Zach Moore has been our on-the-field reporter, and he has been listening in to our Discord negotiations and making some recordings. Keep your fingers crossed. We're going to find out whether or not this works. Let's hear a little bit of discussion about the western parts of this board.
For winning, but we have to move your piece. We have to, like, if we want to work together, your pieces have to shift.
Still saying that, like, somebody winning is like bad, but me not winning is worse. So whatever we can do to, like, ensure that, like, I get bases is good. No, I don't think I'm being unreasonable.
In what? Coming after me? Or
I
continuing?
mean, like 20 bases. 20 bases. 0. Lots of bases.
So there we go. Little insight into that was Chris Brown in England in a little heated moment with Jay Honnold in France. Siobhan, what did you think about that?
So what was the exact phrase? Is Germany not winning is good, but me not winning is worse? Was that what it was?
It was a little hard to hear, but that's kind of the gist of what I heard.
Yeah, and that was Jay talking.
Yes.
Okay, so Jay Honnold in France was basically saying, hey, I am super fine if Germany, Cori, does not win here. But I really should win this, is what I'm hearing. And there was some tension there. And I'm not perfectly clear on it, and I was doing my best to hear it, but oh, wow. There's some heat in the West.
Definitely that came through loud and clear.
Yeah.
Tanya, any thoughts on that?
I was a bit confused as to what was happening, but my main takeaway was, man, I wish I was playing right now.
Yeah, no, I kind of feel like Tanya, like I feel like I can control that situation in a similar way, like, oh hey, just let me in here. Like
Well, for sure, there is a lot of tension between France and England right now. So if you are France, you've got a couple of, it looks like everybody's coming for you. What are you building?
Did France say that they didn't want Germany to have their centers? Is that essentially what they said? Is that what it was?
What I'm gathering, yes. Yeah.
yeah.
So then maybe it is possible that France just told Italy to take Marseille.
Good.
Not with the fleet move to Naples, not with the convoy back to the continent. Though the convoy, no, I get it. I honestly think Peter McNamara in Italy is just being opportunistic. And not in Naples to Tyrrhenian Sea, that's not pro-French. If the French are just like, oh no, you can have Marseille and I'll never do anything about it.
Well, you know, when a lot of French players die, they go, well, who do I want to have my dots if I'm going to die anyway, right? Not the EG. So I'll just invite France to take my dots.
So Tanya,
I've been there, you know, where I've been vindictive, where I'm like, I will just give you my dots if you just come take them so that they don't get them, right?
100 times, me too. Go ahead, Brian.
And
I was going to ask Tanya, you feel like France is taking the defensive tactic of, hey, I'm going to play a negotiation game here. This kind of like literal gunboat diplomacy of, hey, I've got I'm throwing this game. If you do not change your tactic, you get nothing and your opponent gets everything.
I'm just trying to justify why you wouldn't cover Marseille instead of like going to Portugal, right?
Yeah, it's
like there's got to be a reason for that. No. Beyond like, oh, I don't think Italy is going to move there, even though they just moved to Piedmont.
So, okay, actually, no, Tanya, I'm with you. Here's the justification, is the intentional move of Picardy to Paris, instead of just getting booted out, was to try to bounce the move from Burgundy to Paris. And they were so anxious they wouldn't get anything else elsewhere. And this is how I'm going to guess the negotiations went. They talked to the Italian, and the Italian was just like, oh, whoops, I'm in Piedmont. I wouldn't dare. How could you think I'd do that? And so they thought they would get a build which would allow them to actually help fight the EG, which maybe the Italian said, I'll go to Tyrolia. Maybe they said any number of things.
Yeah, it could be anything there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so hard when we don't see these talks.
We've also got the Austrian now helping Russia into Bulgaria.
Yeah, the Austrian is being too cautious here.
I don't know. See, I once again like I don't do that as Austria. I would be like, you let me into Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that is exactly my point. Is the Austrian is being Wes, you are a good player. I've seen your standings. I have seen you play several times. This is too careful. And
But it's not even it's like the opposite of careful, because now you've got a Russian army in Bulgaria, Romania, and Gal. Like he didn't even move out of Gal.
yeah, no, this
They'd be
only
like, all right,
comes Doom.
follow it through with Gal. But no, he puts Ukraine in there.
And,
I would
and the
pissed off.
Austrian knew which army was moving, so they knew where the armies would end up. And what are those Russian armies going to do?
The Austrian knew where the Romanian army was going.
Yeah.
But not but like, you know, if you're Austria here, like there's no reason not to A, negotiate Bulgaria for yourself, B, ask Russia to move out of Gal.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And so, again, we don't have insight. So we'll just, I think Brian is.
I just want to know what magic spell Carlos cast on all of his neighbors.
Oh,
Losing Sweden to having him walk out into Baltic, move Romania, like support into Bulgaria. Like, what's the boogeyman? Is Christian Kline that dangerous that he can show?
This is super fun Russia right now.
I think it's absolutely a spell of Christian Kline, the Scorpion, the will never ally with you to save his life player. Love you, Christian, really. No, it's Carlos has spun this in his favor, and he said to Germany, he said to England, he's like, hey, no, I need to keep these dots. I need to keep Christian Kline down. And hey, look at where Wes is on the standings. What danger am I? Oh, oops. And I've seen Carlos pull this. He is so sweet and so believable, but he is so good at this game, and I cannot wait. Russia is one of my least favorite countries, but this is a Russia I would love to inherit.
All right. Well, let's find out what happens in the winter with our builds. Tanya, I think it's your turn. This will be an easy one.
There's literally one change on the board.
Oh, okay. I'm like trying to find it. All right, fleet neighbors. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's like, I'm gonna take a piece of Turkey now. Maybe we'll see that happen. I don't know. A lot of fleets. All right.
It's a lot of freaking fleets when nothing else is happening in the Med, and nothing else is even happening like Aegean and East. Like clearly, Austria is not Turkey's friend. Maybe this was the time to build Army Venice.
I don't know, because like he does have that army in Apulia doing nothing, and Army Venice is so blatantly like, I'm gonna attack you, Austria.
Fair, I guess. I don't know.
So maybe fleet was the right build here, but
Ariel points out that Russia waived the build, so that's
okay. I was wondering because I looked at Russia and I was like, did they build Army Moscow? And I was like, so confused as to where that build was, but I guess they waived it.
Yeah. Tanya, how do you feel about that?
Carlos. Go ahead.
How do you feel about that? The waived build?
Well, I guess it's more like a I want to keep all my allies happy sort of deal, right? If I build another firstly they would have to build in Warsaw, which they probably have some kind of pact with Germany being like, you don't build in Warsaw and we're good, right? So then you'd have to violate that possibly. Or either way, they'll be freaking out both Germany and Austria, and they probably don't want to do either of that. So I get it. I don't know if I would have waived it, but I get it. But at this point, you just gotta have to, I don't know, pick a fight with someone, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe take out Turkey, and then I guess you have one more year to delay it. But
Siobhan, what would you have done here with that build?
I'm going to come down on the side of I love the wave build. That is so amazing. It gives every reason to keep Germany pushing west, all of those armies, and that, oops, that fleet in Baltic, so sorry, my bad, which walked out of Sweden, so you keep it. Clearly there's some negotiation happening there that Germany and Russia are good. And by the end of this year, so many players on this board are going to forget there was a pocket build for Russia. And then, if he picks up one and it also has one in the pocket, whoops, am I putting down 2? Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I guess I'm just going to do that now. And it's the waved build at the right time garners a ton of respect. My question is...
I definitely see...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's alliance benefits out of doing this, for sure.
Yeah. There's alliance benefits, and, the Austrian doesn't have a ton of play. He's got... I guess only Russia to go against, but he was helping Russia. So I think Carlos made the right call here as Russia waving that.
I love this so much because Germany is committing so hard and doesn't have enough fleets.
West.
If I was playing Carlos here, I wait. I let Germany keep on pushing into France, and then I've got that extra build in my pocket, and I go. So
Germany can just take Sweden at any point too, right?
Well, for now, but maybe Russia is convincing him, hey, push the fleet through Denmark and find a build and take North Sea instead of Sweden.
I mean, Cori absolutely has, she could stop it, but if she's not careful, that's what I would be negotiating for as Russia.
This is a very precarious point for Cori to be in.
Yep. All right, let's move on. Spring 1903, Siobhan, what do you like?
Germany self-bounces in Sweden to leave it Russian. Sorry, it's the first thing. And I thought I was going to say this earlier, and I didn't. The fleet move to Arm and the army move to Sev is fantastic. You don't have a force on the Black Sea, and so you do what you can. We see a little bit of a beleaguer Bulgaria, Serbia. So Russia tries to take Serbia, Austria tries to take Bulgaria. Blah, everyone stays where they are. Galicia, what good is it to tap Budapest? Please, you should. I don't. It's. But Italy gets the Eastern Med. Isn't that interesting? Okay. So, the East is very, very tied up and will be for a while. Otherwise, the Italian makes the most interesting moves of the game, taking the Med, taking Tyrrhenian Sea, pushing the army up to Venice. Respect, just go for it. I
really like this Italian position right now, actually.
This Italian position is looking better and better. I think I see that Paris supports Marseille to Burgundy. Is that what I'm saying?
So it was. Potentially.
It got cut, but yes,
that was the intended order. Okay, so the French and the Italian, even though the Italian took Marseille. Okay.
I figured they had to work together, because why take Portugal instead of moving to Marseille otherwise, right?
Yeah. No, it's okay. I'm coming around to that. I'll let Brian talk about the commentary that's happening backstage. Okay, so the convoy to Gascony, well done. English covers Brest, fine. I'm so confused about this EG. neither of them wants to have play on the North Sea ever. And like every EG I've played, like someone always like, no, I'm going to leave something behind to keep the North Sea, because the North Sea is such a critical space to be.
This is just,
Yeah, right?
I guess they're really going for that alliance play, right?
I mean, I feel like, yeah, Cori in Germany and Christian Brown in England have just decided that they are lockstep.
And you know, England has no fear of Germany at this point, right? Like Germany's got one fleet.
And
they
it's in
can't
the Baltic. Like,
yeah. So at that point, like, do you really need that fleet in the North Sea?
yeah. Okay, so can we
Probably
come back to the Northern Alliance with the self-bounce in Sweden? So England, Germany, and Russia.
That's the alliance, right?
It's gotta be, right? Like, and who's going to hurt the most at the end of this? Carlos, I love you, but it's you.
It's possible. It's also possible that Germany just gets squeezed out, right?
Not where Russia is, not where England is.
Yeah, not right now.
But what does Germany pick up here, right? Like, Germany's so far away from any center.
I would be a little bit frustrated. I mean, Germany can walk into Bell and walk into Sweden whenever she wants. She just hasn't done that, right? Because obviously she wouldn't have any allies. But I'd start getting a little bit frustrated.
I think I'm very frustrated on this board, but I think you said earlier, Tanya, and I agree. I'm kind of loving the Italian position here.
It's fun. It's definitely fun.
Yeah.
And he's also moved Apulia to Venice, presumably to move it towards France. But that's also the, hey, I can take a dot off of Austria if I want to. Mm-hmm. So, once again, probably making Austria a bit more tense than he needs to be.
But Apulia to Venice is so much faster than Apulia to Rome to Tuscany to Piedmont.
Yeah, of course. And I imagine that's sort of the justification, right? Like, I'm going to move it to Piedmont or to Tyrolia, so don't, like, worry about it. But I'm sure at the back of, you know, their mind, Austria is worrying about it, right?
Yeah.
Because right now you've got that Russia with all the armies up your... I don't think I'm allowed to curse on this.
Oh, no, please curse.
But, you know.
This is cursing aloud channel.
All right. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see what's happening, because you've got Russia, Austria, and Italy all trying to get Turkish dots, while Austria and Russia are also fighting each other. So it's a bit of a shit show in the east.
It's gonna be gorgeous, and I love this kind of chaos. So, step away for 2 seconds. Let you guys take over. I'll be right back.
All right. While Siobhan's doing that, we've got some audio from some negotiations between Wes in Austria and Turkey, Christian Kline in Turkey. So we'll go ahead.
Oh, I'm excited.
We'll listen to this.
Bulgaria this turn, and critically, by the way, what did he build?
Built Army Moscow.
Right. Oh, that's even better for you. So critically, I'm sorry?
Yeah, it's definitely better for me.
Critically, you can pop Bulgaria right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you pop Bulgaria right now, I will put you into Romania in the fall.
Did someone just tell someone that Russia built Army Moscow?
Yeah, I think that must have been, let's see. When were these? Yeah, I don't know. So, but yeah, it looks like they were negotiating pretty furiously about trying to pop this army in Bulgaria.
Okay, so there's incentive now for Austria to work with Turkey. So we could be seeing the great Turkish comeback.
If Austria and Turkey end up working together, there is absolutely play for both of them. and I could see an upside for both of them also.
Yeah, but wasn't that clip the same, like, the year that these moves went through? Because Austria said that to... Wait, when was that clip for?
The notes say that it was spring 03 negotiations.
So then that didn't happen, did it?
No, what it looks like is what I'm curious about. I'll put a note to ask about this in the stream. Because what would have happened, Tanya, if Christian supports Serbia to Bulgaria?
Bulgaria pops.
So I'm wondering if Christian followed through or if he was Scorpion. I don't know. I don't understand what the value would be in not doing that move, though. I'm curious.
Aren't these the moves?
These are the moves. Yeah.
Yeah. So he didn't do it.
Yeah, he didn't do it. Is what it looks like. Yeah.
And it turns out that Austria then just supported Italy into the East Med. So whatever negotiation they had was just fake.
Yeah.
Right.
Very, very interesting. That would have worked out pretty well, though, if that had happened.
Oh, for Austria, yeah, that would have been great. You have you get into Bulgaria, and you're probably going to get rid of Turkey, as well.
Yeah.
But now that gets pretty complicated, right?
Yeah. Brandon points out that Black could have tapped Rum. That would have done it.
Yeah, that would have been the move, right? Instead of
not the support.
Supporting Serbia into Bulgaria, you tap Rum because obviously Sev can tap Black at any time.
Yeah. All right. So Tanya, anything else? How do you feel about this continued bounce here? Where do you see Germany's next dot coming from in this top of the world?
Germany's next dot comes from when England takes Paris or Brest and Germany backfills into Belgium. That is Germany's next dot. And if it's not, somehow they get into Paris. But I don't know. I would probably I'd want to move those armies. I would not want to be using them to bounce and bell. There are 4 units on this board that are German that did nothing.
And have done nothing for a little while.
Yeah. That would frustrate me. But people like to play slow games, and it works sometimes. So
we have seen some very impressive, slow, patient play on several boards of these live streams. And I know some players have a tendency to go fast, and other players are a little more versatile. And maybe this is a game where the patience will pay off.
Definitely, and you read the board and you figure out, well, if I just sit here and look pretty for a few years, I'm gonna get all the dots. So maybe this
Tanya has described my entire diplomacy persona.
All right. Well, we're gonna take a quick break here in a minute. Zach Moore is gonna come onto the stream, and he's gonna show us a little bit of the Discord interface, so we can watch from a player's perspective about what this looks like. So we'll get Zach onto the stream here, and then while we're doing that, let's go ahead and start talking through the next moves.
Okay, once he gets on, I'll step out for a bit.
Okay. Siobhan.
Yes. Oh, Cori, you did something with those 4 units that have been doing nothing. You stabbed everyone. There's nothing they could. I mean, screw Burgundy. Who cares if you lose that? Your goal was to take Belgium. Your goal was to take Sweden. You're getting your 2 builds. Dear God, at least one of them needs to be Fleet Kiel right now.
The Gal moved to Silesia too.
Galicia to Silesia, respect. The Austrian did. So I respect Aegean support Balticon while you take Bulgaria behind. Clearly, the Russian thought it was going to be Serbiatable, which tells me that they're being honest but not completely honest with each other. And the Austrian is set to exact some revenge on the Russian who lined up a bunch of armies against him. But what is most beautiful to me here is, England, I get it. English Channel and Irish teamed up to kick out MAO. But now you've got a fleet in now.
Yeah.
You've got a fleet in North Atlantic Ocean. But yeah, sure, you can keep it out of Liverpool. But if I am France, I am keeping that fleet forever to be the biggest pain in your ass.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Italy walked to Spain.
Oh, no, I think France is like, hey, Italy, take whatever the hell you want. I don't care. Like, just leave me with one dot so I have a fleet that can be so annoying. I think that's the deal that's being made here.
Oh, definitely. France, like, I'm going down. I'm going to let Italy have my shit.
Yeah. Like, that is so me, and I love it. Like, it's like, well, hell, nothing is going my way. How can I be the most annoying person I can ever be?
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Love it.
Oh.
Uh,
So why stab both your people at once?
That's a fantastic question, Tanya, and I have been guilty of it many, many times because all many people see, or all many players see, is I get 2 builds. That puts me in a great position. But you've made an enemy of what is it. We're talking about, I think, Cori in Germany. Yes, let's be clear.
yes.
Yeah. It's England has been Cori's biggest friend up till now. And Russia has been ambivalent, but I mean, clearly we're seeing Silesia and Bothnia in this turn. So it kind of...
Is the German move to Belgium a stab? Necessarily. I want to say yes, only because Baltic moved to Denmark. If Baltic doesn't move to Denmark, I think that there's a chance that taking Belgium was arranged.
Well, yes, but if you talk to your ally, if you were Germany in this case, and you talk to your ally in England, and you say, hey, let me take Belgium right now, you, England, will have to disband. How does that get sold?
Yeah.
If they're friends, I don't think that's...
Unless they thought they would get into Brest, but I don't think they made a play for it, did they?
They did not.
No. So, yeah.
England made the play for MAO, which, respect, I get it, but also remember where people can retreat to, which is NAO, which don't forget about North Atlantic Ocean. So many players do.
Yeah. And obviously Baltic does not move to Denmark if that wasn't a stab, so, you know.
No, it's I think neither the move to Sweden nor the move to Belgium was arranged.
I agree.
But Russia saw this coming.
Who's coming?
Russia.
Oh.
So I guess Russia had some idea that like this was likely to happen. Because you have the move to Silesia and you have the move to like
Bothnia.
Yeah.
Germany's going to have a lot of enemies in the next year.
Yeah.
Even with 2 builds, she's got a lot to face.
I think stabbing both was not ideal play, in my opinion. I think here I stab Russia and I don't stab England yet. Not yet.
Yeah, I stab one or the other based on negotiations.
Yeah.
I think we're in agreement. Like, it depends on the conversations about, where is Italy with me? Where is Austria with me?
So, I guess question for either of you: what is it that you don't like about going for both? Like, you're picking up a couple of builds here. You've been beating your head against the wall. There's not a lot of pressure up in Scandinavia. Why not go for it here?
Okay, I mean, I'll take this one first. This is a thing that I am very guilty of, or have been in diplomacy. It's, oh, okay, I've been beating my head against a wall, and I feel like I'm not getting anywhere, and there are no builds anywhere for me. Oh, I see 2 very easy builds, in this case, in Sweden and Belgium. But what you've earned with those 2 builds, and there is nothing you can put down in those 2 units right now that will make up for this. You've earned bad will from the 2 people who surround you.
I personally don't like to, I don't like to do this because I don't like to give people a reason to start working together who are not working together.
Yes.
Right? That becomes my big fear.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, I am now giving people who weren't going to work together an incentive to go up against me. Now, it might not be a very effective fight against me, but it's just another thing to sort of worry about. And you also have like Italy helping out France, and now Italy's in Tyrolia.
Well,
I feel like it gets a lot more complicated if you're fighting 4 people instead of, 2 or even 3.
Yeah. And I'm seeing a lot of chatter in the comment section about like, oh, well, Norway's guaranteed and definitely getting North Sea. Well, not definitely getting North Sea, let me tell you. But don't piss off everyone around you. France and Italy are already working together. That is very clear to me from just what I'm seeing in the moves. I'm not partial to negotiations. France is at least a little bit pissed. And France is pissed at England, but can very easily redirect to being pissed off about Germany. This was too much of a move for not enough of a reward.
Right. And if I'm France and England comes up to me and is like, hey, can we make this work? I say, hell yeah, we can make this work. I'm going to go stop Italy or, do something about that. And you focus on taking down Germany with Russia. Like, I don't hold that grudge here.
Yeah.
Why should I?
Yeah, no, I'm not holding that grudge there. There's someone in the comments, and I didn't actually pick this up earlier, Alex Amen. Hey, hopefully we'll get a house game going soon. Russia has to disband one this turn.
Right.
I didn't make that count. So shall we move forward to winter?
Before we do that, let's hear from Cori, her own explanation about the stab on England.
I said you at least got to, I know it was a disband and that sucks, and I'm sorry about that, but at least it gave you the opportunity to disband London, which wasn't doing anything. So it wasn't actually, it didn't materially hurt you. You didn't lose the units you needed. And I didn't have a choice because you were right. And after I talked to Italy, I believed in that Austria and Russia were coming for me. So I needed the builds. I needed it now.
She shouldn't have done it like that. She should have asked.
Oh, thank you, Tanya. Yes, ask up front if you think it's the thing that is materially needed, which I think was the phrase that I heard there.
Hey, that army in London isn't doing anything. Do you mind if I, take Bell and then we can... But, I personally don't think that her plan was to pretend that she needed it and she still needs to work together, right? I think her plan was, I'm going to actually go for the stab, and now she's like, let me try to keep England on my side, right?
Yeah, no, it's, this feels like oh, this looks great. Oh, shit, how do I have to sell this now moment, which I've been in so many times.
Yeah, definitely.
You've been there too, Tanya. Like, we played this game enough times that we're just like, oh, shit, that looked so good in the moment, and now I'm like, ah.
And if you're England, you're like, well, you take Sweden, you don't need 2, right? Like, move one back. You've been bouncing yourself with Holland for like 2 freaking years now. Like, move it back to Kiel.
Yeah.
If you want an army, you don't need to take mine, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, go ahead,
If it
Brett.
works,
Right,
I'm
well,
impressed.
I'm going to bring on Zach Moore. Zach is, hey, Zach. How are you
Hey,
doing?
how's it going? How's it going, folks?
Hey.
I think we all in this hobby collectively owe Zach a shout out. The Minnesota Diplomacy Club was the group that kind of got all of these virtual face-to-face games off the road. We've been chatting about it a lot, and they said, all right, enough chat, let's go do it. Zach was one of the main people behind that. So Zach, we are all in your debt as a hobby in the community.
We are.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
I
I'm
appreciate it.
loving both the games and the streams. So it's been great.
And,
I love the streams as well. I got to give a shout out to my council members then. Jake Langenfeld pushed me a little bit to be okay with online. Eric Van Mechelen actually first was the one who approached me about a stream and led the first one. And then, of course, Ben Johnson founded the club. So I'll give a shout out to my guys there as well.
And I personally have just loved what I've seen in the Minnesota hobby. Just as a how much I love this and both hate it. We have a statement on the Windy City Weasels webpage for several years about being the most active club in North America. We recently did a rebrand on our website, and we took that phrase offline because Minnesota has been playing every bit as many games as we have. So,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Chicago, step it up.
Every great club just needs a rival, something to push you to greater heights, and I'm happy that we can kind of light that fire.
Gotta love it.
You.
So Zach has put a lot of tech work. He's been working really hard behind the scenes, both to make the stream what it is today, and then we've been doing a lot of experimentation between both of our clubs on the best format for how do we communicate with each other. What we've kind of settled in on is using Discord, and Zach's going to kind of show us a little bit right now and walk us through how we've got it set up and what it's like for the players to play. Zach, right.
Oh, great. Yeah, so as you can see here on this sidebar, what we have done is set up a room for each individual power. You can see them labeled A, E, F, G, I, R, T with their own little unique names. And these are every player's home base. So, for instance, Austria, you can see, is sitting in his home, the Hofburg, that's west. And what he can do is text somebody and say, hey, I'm in the Hofburg, meet me in the Hofburg. Or if he wants to go and talk to, say, Russia, say Carlos, he can drop into the Pantheon and say, hey, Carlos, I am available to speak whenever you're done with Turkey. Come meet me in my room. And that's how they kind of set up these arrangements. So these players are just bouncing in and out of the 7 rooms. They don't have to call each other. They don't have to initiate a phone call with ringing and all that. They hop into the room and it's live. They're talking to each other. So an example of that works, we have this room that has sat vacant all day called the interview room. I've not been conducting interviews. But you click on that room, and just depending on your operating system, you might just go right into the room and you're talking. If you have my operating system, you'll have to make another click to connect to voice. And voila, you're here, you're waiting for friends, and you're chatting. And then we also have a room, because we want to create the face-to-face experience as much as possible, as much as we can, and all that camaraderie. So we also have another room called the game table here, and you can see 3 people are checking in on the game table. And that's to recreate the feeling of being around a board, talking publicly. You can chit-chat. You can still talk about your negotiations, but a lot of people are going to hear what you're saying. And this is also where you're going to see all 7 players and the GM congregate when the clock hits 0 so that they can all share the moment of seeing the moves together with the gasp and the groans and the angst.
Which, let's be honest, are the best parts of the game. Is like watch the adjudication and watch everyone be so painful. But as a long-term hobby player who has avoided playing these online formats, I would much rather commentate. I feel some echo. Somebody Maybe he needs to mute. I don't think it's me. Oh, no, something happened there. Okay, hello. Oh, no, I don't hear myself twice. That's awesome. Okay, so what I was going to say is that I have avoided playing the online format games because for me it doesn't feel right or natural, because as a born and bred face-to-face player since I was, 14 years old, as much as I want to help and encourage and grow what we have done in the midst of this insane time that we're all living through, coronavirus, and now, we can talk about what's happening in the U.S. with George Floyd and the protests, and I'm not going to even get into that because it's a whole different thing, and I don't want to, because I'm very sad. Discord seems like the best channel to do this. Like, you can set up all these alternate channels and do all this stuff. What I'm curious about is, as a face-to-face player, usually I can go and interrupt a conversation between people. I was like, hey, Brian, Tanya, you are England and France, I am Germany. You've been talking too long, and I am going to make myself a presence in your space. How does that translate to the virtual diplomacy?
So that's something that I really appreciate about the Discord setup as opposed to the other technologies we've used. Using the rooms that Zach just showed, you can do that. So there's three things that I like. Number one is that we can record the audio. That's fantastic. But the stream aside, as a player, I can see who's in which room and who's talking to each other. That's a very, very big part of the negotiations within the face-to-face game. And we really missed that in our initial games. And now that we've got this room set up, you can definitely see who's talking to whom. And then the other item is that any player can drop in. It announces it. You can't just sneak in. You can tell when somebody comes in. But if I see two people have been talking for 10 minutes out of a 15-minute negotiation time, I can pop in the room and say, hey guys, I'm stepping in just to tell you, Germany, I need to get you next. I need 30 seconds. And then I can drop back out, they can continue, and I can move on. With our previous technologies, that was simply not possible. And very often what I found is two people who found a way to communicate with each other with this ally. And it seems like this allows a lot more negotiation. Zach, what's been your observation?
You're muted.
Yeah, I think it's exactly like you said, Brian. I've been in and out of these rooms all game so far, and over again, you've had players drop in, say, so-and-so, talk to me when you're ready, pop out, just like it was a face-to-face game. There's kind of a code of, kind of an honor code in face-to-face diplomacy that most players aren't just going to follow you around and physically refuse to let you have a private conversation. You hope that players don't do that. Siobhan is pointing at herself.
I kind of do that when I desperately want to talk.
You just stare at them from the other side of the room.
I was like, no, I'm just
my turn.
Like this awful ghost.
I should admit I play most of my games in Minnesota, where we very seldom do anything remotely confrontational to that level. So I don't know what you do in San Jose, but
that's shade.
We on the West Coast, we are very much Care Bears. There's a reason that the awards for my tournament in San Jose are teddy bears. We are Care Bears. We like to make an alliance and stick by it. But then they let me run the tournaments and introduce a scoring system that did not reward that.
And I can see you raising your drink as you bring up a scoring system, and I think everybody wants to take a drink when those two words are uttered.
Cheers, bingo, whatever it is.
Well, Zach, thank you for coming on the stream and showing us Discord. We're going to hop back into the games.
Always a pleasure. Happy to be here.
Look forward. Thank you for capturing that audio. Looking forward to some more clips.
The only thing I'm going to jump in here before we jump back into the games is Tyrone, I love you, but don't give me spoilers in the comments.
Thank you.
No,
We're
man.
So just a quick recap. We are
Who
in
invited Tyrone? God.
we're in fall 1903 of Windy City Weasels Game 408. Currently, we have Carlos Treveino as the board leader in Russia, but we have just seen some potential shifts in the alliance in 1903. Let's find out what happens. All right. Tanya, anything jump out at you?
What? I thought did someone say Russia has to disband?
I thought Russia had to disband.
I thought they're
in Kline.
because they had the build in their pocket.
The build-in pocket is what we forgot. Thank you.
Right. Right. Okay. Another Fleet Naples. You know, you've got Fleet Kiel, Army Berlin for flexibility.
Germany is finally building Fleet Kiel.
But you know, England did the dutiful thing and disbanded London. So maybe they did come to some kind of agreement there. And
So Tanya, you think it could still be an EG with a very exposed England?
I think if it is an EG, it's a tense EG, and mostly because England's a little scared of France, possibly. But I don't know which way that's going to go.
Yeah.
It really depends on if England and France can talk it out.
Well, let's before we move on and.
But I think it's important to note also that Burgundy is disbanded.
Yes.
So that frees up Germany a little bit too.
Yeah.
So I think it is likely that England and France might still be fighting each other. But anything can happen in spring, so.
Anything can happen in spring. We're not always right. I like Germany's position a little bit more than I did before. I'm seeing a lot of hate for me in the comments. Yes, we all forgot about the Pocket Russia build. As I said in like 01, it's so great because everyone's going to forget about it. Yes, even we forgot about it. Like,
yeah.
The special.
And Tyrone, love you. Want to see you again.
And this is why Russia should have just built that army when they had that army. And maybe Germany would not have acted like that if they had built that army.
No, sure. I sung its praises at the time, but it was based upon like the necessity of how you negotiate it. And it feels like Carlos did not do that well. Let's move on. Thank you, Cori, Germany, for finally building a fleet. It's far past time.
Awesome. So before we move on, there have been a couple of adjustments. It looks like we've got a weak France and a weak Turkey. Let's play the game of who do you like? Tanya, who do you want to beat right now?
Italy. No one is fighting Italy, and they're just taking dots.
Siobhan?
I mean, I get it, but not with the Trieste build. When Austria had a build, and the only place they could build was Trieste.
I don't know. I don't think Austria fights Italy at this point, right?
Yes, Germany. I hate all of them. That's the worst.
you keep screaming.
I'm so mad at all of you, and I want to rant. And
A game where the dynamics can change at any second is a fun game. I think.
Sure, but I like to be in control of that, and I am not right now.
It is anything that could happen. That is for sure.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
hey Tyrone, hi Ariel, hey Chris Kelly, hey Alex Amon. I see you all in the comments. Whoever Tata Mata, whatever is.
All right, spring 1904. Tanya, what do you like?
Okay, so England is still fighting France.
Oh no.
Italy walks into MAO. I love that. I just love it.
There is so much going on.
I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna like jump in right here. Like Italy walks into MAO. Gorgeous.
Wait, did we order Tyrolia to Tuscany?
Yes, that has to be a misorder. That has to be a misclick. And that is exactly what I was like over freaking out about. Because Trieste just gets into Venice and Budapest walks in behind and it's fine.
But it was so avoidable.
It was a misclick.
Right.
That was absolutely a misorder. There's no way that the Italian, Peter McNamara, does not order Tyrolia Tuscany.
That's true, because he's been playing such a high quality game to have the game affected in this way right now. Yeah.
He either meant Piedmont or Venice, one or the other, and he just misclicked to Tuscany, which is right next door.
I think he was kind of balanced in Venice.
There is no reason for that to be intentional.
That sucks.
Oh my god, and that is so painful. Like whether he meant Piedmont or Venice.
Yeah, because if he had actually bounced like Austria out, that would be fucking great.
Yes.
I mean, that's a
great. But Austria supported them. Oh no, they supported themselves to Venice, not to Venice. That's right. Oh, loving Austria more and more.
What can you do?
Oh, Kiel went to Baltic. Cori.
But I think Austria's got some problems because Russia has backed off of Germany for whatever reason.
Oh my god, I am. No. Okay, so
the self bounce in Munich. I hate that.
Why?
I really hate that.
Okay, tell me why.
Because why? Like, use those units, make a move on someone, go somewhere. You know, whether it's to Prussia or Silesia or anything. Why does Munich have to be open? For what? Why do those armies need to be in, like, why wouldn't Ruhr move to Burgundy, for example? Literally anywhere would have been better, in my opinion, than bouncing it in Munich. Maybe move one to Munich, Berlin to Munich, Ruhr to Burgundy. I don't know. But bounce in Burgundy? I mean, in Munich? Like, I don't understand why you would do that.
Okay, but on the flip side, I mean, you get to keep Ruhr and Berlin in the places that they're at, and Berlin serves as sort of just a, hey, Russia, I'm still here. I am not antagonistic towards you, but I want to keep a unit here to make sure that you're never going to get anything. And Ruhr, sort of similarly, is actually a fantastically strategic place to be, even though Munich is a center.
You don't think Ruhr should move to Burgundy in this instance?
No, I think I'd rather be in Ruhr and Berlin at the end of this spring turn.
Why is
I don't
that?
know. I just see it as like not advancing in any direction. And
No, and I get that, but I mean, point is that at the end, the next turn, the fall turn, France takes Edinburgh with no force. There's nothing that can stop it. Germany takes Norway with no force. Nothing that can stop it. And they can absolutely protect Munich if the Russian wasn't being honest.
so what did Bell do in this situation?
Bell. Oh, that's a great question.
It's a valid support order, so I think maybe
Supported Picardy?
Paris to Picardy? Was that it?
Well, Paris to or Picardy to Paris is not a valid support order, and that would be shown in. No, I think that Belgium supported Picardy home.
hold.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So it's. I mean, I Cori, I love you. You're not doing terrible things here, but.
Is there anything that either of you see this turn that you're like, ooh, that's good, that's smart?
I'm not sure, but I do like Smyrna supports. Okay, what did Smyrna support Kline to hold?
Yes.
So I guess they've made up their little fight. Finally, I suppose.
Like,
Armenia moves to
whole
black.
little, like,
Yeah, and that's not insignificant. I don't want to dwell too much on scoring systems, but we are playing in the tribute system, which does reward points for survival. So for Christian, it does not appear he's going to top this board despite his fall 1901 prediction. But he is fighting for survival, and that's going to impact his average score. So if he can stay alive, even at just 2 dots, or even at 1 dot, that's a significant.
It matters
for him. Yep.
Oh, cool. Okay, so East met cuts Aegean, so Christian might survive for a bit longer. He might actually survive the game. Who knows?
Okay.
Anything else on spring 1901 or 1904?
I think we've beat that horse.
Right. Siobhan, why don't you give us the read here?
I'm sorry. I'm doing the dramatic thing. So in the east, Russia goes to Budapest but saves Trieste but loses Vienna because Italy moves there with Russian support. Loses Bulgaria. Oh, that's less. That's rough. That's, I mean, you're what, winding up on... Okay. Yeah, goes to Rome, does the bounce. Fine. If I'm Italy, I'd rather advance my fleet. That army can only take 1, but fine. France, Jay, you might survive this with your 2 units at the end of this. You have to figure out which one you dislike.
Why does Norwegian hold?
That is a fantastic question.
Why would you not go into Norway or Eddie or literally anything?
You literally try for the 50-50 in this moment. So
Even the North Sea would be a great place to be.
Yeah. No, it's actually North Sea is the right move. It's, oh my God. So no, at the end of this turn, the English player is on 2. One has been disbanded. So disbands one more in winter. Oh, God, that's not an easy choice. France. Jay Honnold. I've watched you play a few games here. This is the time to be a chaos monkey.
Yeah.
Like, just go for Norway, go for Eddie, take the 50-50 if you think we're going to dodge, or assume they're going to move to one or the other and go to North Sea. And then you were bordering on, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots? 7 dots. 7 dots. Thank you. It like Norwegian hold is the worst thing you could have done here. There's no reason. Sorry, Jay. I said it. I'm out.
Yeah, there's no reason. But the German position is looking quite nice at this point. You know, you've gotten Russia to back off. You are walking into dots. No one is fighting you now. This is great. This turned out quite well.
Yeah, I don't hate it. More and more loving the Italian.
And
Like,
He is a fun. This is a fun Italy. Like, I like it.
Peter McNamara. Like, I want to know how this came about.
And hey, we might see the great Turkish comeback too.
Oh,
don't count him out.
Well, it's freaking Christian Kline, so anything can happen.
It is a timed game, though, so we should keep in mind. Most of our Weasel Club games that are timed in between 1905 and 1907. So I'm not sure how far they're going to get, but there will not be enough time for a massive Turkish comeback. But hey, we could see some growth from this position for sure.
All right, well, let's, I guess, go to winter, which I think has France pulling 1, Germany building 1, Russia building 1.
France has 2, right? Brest and Paris.
Yeah, France will be down to 2, but has 3 on the board.
Yeah.
Okay. 1-1.
Austria will be down to 1, 2, 3, 4. So disbanding 1.
They had the 5th here, and then 1, 2,
Oh, yeah.
So they'll
So PIF stay the same.
Yeah.
I just love that he was able to convince Russia to help him into Vienna. I mean, that's great. You know, you're losing Venice, but you get support into Vienna.
Fuck it, you were always losing Venice. Like,
Yeah.
And is he building 1? We'll build 1. Italy.
Italy is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with. No, Italy stays the same.
Oh, I missed the fleet. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
2 home, 2 Iberia. Wait.
Picks up Portugal. Picks up Vienna.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, 2 home, 3 Tunis, and 2 in Spain and Portugal makes 5, which is how many he has.
Yep. Gotcha. All right. Well, what are you pulling if you are France?
It's like he moved Norwegian anyway. Freaking pull it if you're not going to use it, right?
Thank you. Like, if you haven't done anything with it yet, why leave it on the board? However, if I've lost yet another dot and I have to pull a unit, it was like, oh, now I can use it as a chaos monkey.
Can Italy force Brest? Even if let's say France keeps both of these, can Italy force Brest?
Italy has 1 unit on Brest.
Well, but we talk about spring next turn, where So in theory, we could pull Burgundy to Gascony and then try and support an attack on.
I don't see why Italy attacks France at this point. France is just working for them, right? You just continue advancing.
No, you keep that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you keep Paris and Brest as French as long as you can.
Yeah.
Until you need them for a solo or a board top or whatever it is.
So if I'm Italy, then I am lobbying hard for France to disband Paris or Gascony and keep Norwegian and say, hey, I'm not coming for you. Let's work together. And you've got way more chaos that you could cause with that.
So I do think the disband should be Fleet Gascony if France and Italy are working together.
Yep.
All
right, let's see what happens.
Let's do it.
All right.
Oh wait, Gascony. Okay, yeah. All right.
You know, I'm thinking that there's one reason to hold Norwegian, okay? You think Germany is going to move into Norway and into Eddie, and you don't want to bounce Germany out of either so that England loses both.
In that case, I'm moving to North Sea.
Yeah, but you should still move to North. It is what it is. Anyway.
North Sea is... Okay, so we're not going to get caught up on why North Sea is the best. Thank you, Carlos. You're one of the first I've seen of the Russias on my streams who has built Fleet St. Pete South Coast. Respect. Love it. We forgot about your build, and then we thought we counted it right, and yet here you are having a build.
Love it.
That's some...
Well, they got Bulgaria last turn, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but they were like, I thought they were losing a thing, and I thought I counted it right. I was wrong. It's fine.
All right.
But respect to oh, Carlos.
Tanya, you're up.
Well, I want to know why Germany both moves to Prussia and Silesia and then moves to Baltic. Why do you walk back to I mean, maybe setting up for a convoy, but no.
Sure.
You can do that. You can. I don't know. Why do you move back to Baltic here?
I'm with you, Tanya. Like on the one hand, okay, sure, you can set up a convoy to Livonia, but Berlin is like guaranteed to get into Prussia. So why would you need to convoy it over anyway? Why would Bothnia intentionally leave?
I don't know why you leave.
Like that doesn't actually make any sense.
Like, fine, you get kicked out, whatever. Then you can retreat.
Then you retreat.
Why walk out?
I
Especially since you wouldn't have been kicked out. Sweden cut Finland, right? I don't know.
It's you would. Cori, I need to know.
Also, it looks like England and France are now working together.
Oh, they absolutely are.
Somewhat.
Well, no, not
Somewhat. In certain areas.
Actually, the more I look at it. Yeah, there's the Italy supports France into the English Channel.
Right, but France supports England into Eddie. Right?
Oh my God. So France is pissed off at the German and doesn't care if the English player gets in the way. Is that what I'm reading?
Very possible.
That's kind of what I'm seeing. And Peter McNamara in Italy is like, oh, this is very yummy. I will just take up some stuff behind you. Oh, let's go.
Chris commented, maybe Germany was hoping Fleet Finland might go to Bothnia, which would put Army Sweden in Finland.
Okay.
Oh, we're on fall already. Oh, oops.
Yeah, no, we're jumping forward. Tanya, it's all you, I think.
I think it was me last turn.
It
No?
was. It's Siobhan, it's your turn.
Oh, it's my turn. Oh.
Yeah, I had so much to say about that spring turn, and we're already done.
Okay. No, I think we're zooming forward because we're getting toward the end.
Is the game over? Like, we don't want to catch up, right?
I don't know. Brian has all the details. French Fleet English just goes to Wales, as you do. Love it. It's absolutely the right choice.
France is out. France is out of the game.
Oh, they're gonna be out. That's so maybe they're just done. I don't know. Jay, we'll talk later. We'll figure it out. But at least bounce Brest. I don't know. Figure something out. Italy goes up 2 this turn, taking back Venice and grabbing Paris. All right. Oh, Austria down to 1. Oh,
that's a
mess. That is a mess.
Yeah, no. So what I see, no. Stays at 2. Sorry. Keeps Trieste, takes back Vienna, but loses Budapest, loses Greece. So Trieste and Vienna are the only Austrian units.
Yeah, that's an Icarus situation. We liked Wes's position a couple of years and was not able to take advantage, even with the lucky break of getting into Venice.
It was, yeah, there were problems, but I believed and I was wrong.
All right. Well,
So I have a question. Baltic did what to Sweden? Did it hold? Is that the holding line?
Baltic supported Sweden and Sweden supported Baltic.
Okay, that's why it's
a solid line between them.
I see. Okay, cool.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
North Sea walks out and gets into York.
Yeah.
And then you have
Norwegians supported, I'm going to guess,
something
London?
to north, right?
London to north?
yes, that's got to be it. It's got to be London and North.
Hi, Andrew Goff. I see you in the comments.
Andrew, do you want to come take over?
He can take over from me so I can just drink and be snarky in the comments. You're doing amazing.
All right. Well, we've got Jay, who is playing in France, queued up in the green room. Do we want to go ahead and bring him in, or is there anything else we want to talk about for Fall of 05?
Oh, because he's dead?
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about how much he is dead and how terrible decision it was that to make.
All right. Jay, we're going to go ahead and bring you in. Welcome, Dead Jay.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Jay.
So tell us, how did this game go for you?
Well, as you can see, I'm dead, as was duly noted earlier. So not so well, unfortunately.
Who do you feel like you blame the most?
I mean, I'll start by being very modest and saying I blame myself the most. But no, I think it was England's fault.
Oh.
No, in all honesty, it was definitely me and my inability to negotiate well with the EG alliance that was pretty crushing for me.
Yeah.
Well,
So I was curious. You held Norwegian that one turn where you could have gone for 2 different dots. Why did you do that?
Okay, so I guess I'll talk about my in-game plan, like why I pretty much committed suicide at the end of the game. And the reason for that was, for one thing, I didn't actually realize the standings that are outside of this game that are for Windy City Weasels actually includes your average of your games as a fourth part. I didn't know that. I thought it was just your top 3 games. So Brandon told me that after I was dead. So now I duly noted that I probably shouldn't try and kill myself every game. But by killing myself, I do take points from the board topper.
Yes.
Due to the trivia system. So that is why I killed myself at the end, and why I held Norwegian though, because I really wanted Germany. I expected Germany to try to bounce me in either, and I just wanted Germany to take both.
Right, that's what I
And
figured.
have England disband 2 rather than 1.
Got it.
I'm gonna move this over here.
So let's just talk through real quick. What were your opening negotiations like, and what was your thought at the outset of the game?
Yeah, so I saw the EG pretty quickly. England told me up front he was going to go to the channel, and I thought that I could maybe work my way through that move if I knew it was coming. Chris is it was Christian Brown. Yeah, I could not sway him at all from not doing that move for some reason, which was really surprising to me. And I'm wondering if Germany said something that immediately made him want to head in that direction. But yeah, I definitely regret not bouncing in the channel as my
that
one
was
move. Being told that he's gonna go there.
I mean, my experience when I play England and try to go to the channel, I usually get bounced, and it's awful.
Yeah, I definitely should have bounced him. That was a big mistake, for sure. And then I think in fall of 01, I made a secondary mistake, which is to hold Spain. My plan here was to kind of move it eventually to Portugal and then convoy it out, and maybe convoy it somewhere pretty far. Thinking back, that's just kind of really poor decision, because you can convoy from Spain just as much, and when your piece is in Spain, you can also put it in Marseille, for example, if Italy comes to Piedmont. So yeah, that was just a blunder on my part for sure.
That was another question I had. When you decided to move to Portugal instead of covering Marseille,
Yeah.
is that because you thought there would be a bounce, or you wanted Italy in there, or you were just like, fuck it, maybe Italy won't go in there?
Okay, so that was actually negotiated. He told me he was going to go to Marseille, and again, I've actually had a lot of post-game conversation with Brandon after this, and he did note that I could have probably covered Marseille,
2 minutes to the
taken
deadline.
Portugal, and still built in either Brest or Marseille at the end of that year. In my mind, I needed to hold my position, and I needed a 9 piece to help me from the EG Alliance, and I was willing to not have to, by taking Portugal and him taking Marseille, I didn't get a build, but I did have essentially an allied piece in Marseille he did cut Burgundy and kept me alive in Paris. And essentially my idea for how I wanted to break the EG Alliance was to make an imbalance of, like, Germany's getting all of my dots, not England, so England has to break. But I couldn't negotiate England to do anything because that army in London was so useless, and he couldn't rotate his pieces around at all.
So, Jay, this was the first live stream where we've been able to capture some of in-game conversations, and we got a nice little clip of you and Chris having a very tense conversation, basically implying, hey, if you continue going at me, Germany wins, you don't. Was that your approach diplomatically at this point of the game? Yeah.
I mean, the problem was I couldn't offer him anything. Because what do I support where in this position right now, right? It's not like I can actually help Belgium do anything. It's surrounded by 3 German armies, and I have 1 army in Picardy. So yeah, at that point, I was kind of resorting to some pretty aggressive tactics of just saying, like, hey, like, it's pretty obvious you're not getting much out of me, and it's going to go to Germany. You need to back down, or that was like all I could say, but I couldn't offer anything, and he did not bite on that negotiation at all.
Just to go back quickly, Chris in the comments asked, he wants to know about your self-bounce in Brest.
On this turn?
Yeah, 1901.
Yeah, so I was to be honest, I was confident he was going to convoy into Belgium, so the bounce is very bad. But I was also concerned that because he told me he was going to convoy into Belgium, and if he's telling me that, maybe he's convoying into Brest. Obviously, I wanted to build a fleet at the end of this year, and I wanted to build it in Brest. So under no circumstances did I was really thinking I don't want my army and picker to be covering Brest. And even if I have to build, because I would rather have a fleet in Brest at the end of this year and just take one build rather than two. Again, because I couldn't take Portugal in the following year. I don't think I took it until year 3, maybe. I can't remember when I took it. I did take it. I did take it this year, but I gave up Marseille. Yeah, if I had moved Spain to Portugal, maybe that's not the worst choice, because when England made the mistake of putting the army in London, which gave me the channel for free, the fleet in Brest was very helpful right away. But yeah, maybe I didn't pair with the best moves with my army in the south. And I got lucky. If he built the fleet in London, then there's no way that fleet in Brest is actually going to do anything anyway.
So at this point in the game, we did like the convoy to Gascony, by the way. Good defense there. And you're considering this Italian unit a friend at this point. Right
at this point, it's a friend, yes.
Yeah.
And did you also invite those fleets over?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, so I did offer it. I mean, I thought he was going to do it regardless of the fact. So I was like, okay, I don't know, maybe make him feel more comfortable by allowing him to do it. I don't know. Yeah, at this point, my mental state for the game was not that great. And my thought was, man, maybe I'll just let Italy take all my dots rather than letting either E or G take them, right? Don't let Germany get my stuff that they've worked so hard for, and let Italy just clean house.
Yeah.
That's the impression we got when we were looking at the moves, at least.
It's the right impression. Definitely what I did. Was it the best choice? I don't know. I don't know if the game's over yet. Might be, but yeah, I'm not sure what to say on that one. But yeah, I definitely made a mistake tactically in all of year 1 with just kind of how that stuff ended. And then when Brandon duly noted how I could have actually taken Portugal and gotten a build and still have Paris, I missed that completely. It did not make any sense for me to allow Italy to walk into Marseille, which, like I said, was negotiated, but definitely not the right choice.
Well, Jay, thank you for joining us on the stream. This has been a really entertaining game so far. Glad you were part of it, and hope to see you in a future game where you remember that averages do count.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I took points off the board top.
Yes.
That's what matters for now.
All right. Thanks.
So, Brian, how does that work? How did he take points off the board top? I don't think I understand that.
Oh, so we're going to talk about scoring systems.
For someone who's not familiar with the Chicago hobby,
Yeah.
in that.
I mean, I'll let Brian take this for the most part, but TLDR is tribute is very sum of squares like, but gives much more reward to the board topper, and allows for a reward for keeping as many other players on the board alive as possible.
I see. So if someone dies, it's not good for the board topper.
Yeah, because the players who die, or the players who are still alive, give you a tribute in points as the board topper.
So, Tanya, and for anyone else who's interested, WindyCityWeasels.org, go to resources, tribute, it explains it all. But the very simple version is you get points when you're the board topper by having a bigger gap than your opponents.
Squares, yeah.
Like some of squares, but the difference is that survivals matter a little more. So you want to board top. That's what this whole system is built around. Is you want we get a huge bonus to having the most centers at the end of the game. And then if you can take those away from that person, it reduces their score pretty significantly. So it's similar to some of squares in some aspects like that.
Brandon just said the game finished. So
all right, well let's go ahead and.
We never heard that.
So winner 19, and that makes sense because the games have a hard stop at 11 p.m. So winner 1905 Anything stand out to you here?
Well, I've been gone for a while. GG France, as we just talked about. Fleet St. Pete North Coast. Okay. Carlos, that's probably not the wrong build, but oh, Fleet London, Army Liverpool. That's Army Liverpool. Ariel, I see you in the comments somewhere. I'll go on my rant later. But in this case, it actually makes sense. It's right and it's good. Yeah, no, that's all the snark I have for now.
Okay, great. So let's move on. Spring 1906. Tanya.
Oh, I'm just super entertained by those like Italian army moves right off the bat. Bohemia scored Tyrolia into Vienna, I think. And then this moves up. That's great. This Italy has been nothing but fun.
I've got to ask, do you guys, you suspect this is an unwanted support?
No.
No?
I
don't think it was an expected support, but I don't know if it was necessarily unwanted. But either way, Austria's dead.
What I read from this is the Austrian goes to the Italian and says, hey, we worked together a couple ways. I get that we've had issues, whatever. Hey, just keep me alive. I will do whatever you want. So the Italian says, sure. Bohemia will support you into Vienna. And then follows up into Tyrolia and Venice, which is amazing. Which is so much better than just being in Vienna.
A lot of movement, like almost every Italian army moved on, or fleet moved in on this turn, except for Ionian, right?
Yeah, Ionian supported Aegean because he's trying to slow down the Russian, who he sees as a threat, which I get. But I mean, if I'm Italy here, I think I'm. No, I'm wrong. The more I look at it, I was gonna say I think I want the Russian as my friend, but not with the units where they are.
No, I think the fight is almost inevitable.
Let's find out from the players how Russia and Turkey are feeling about this situation.
Yes.
Got me or don't if you need it.
This is okay. Great. So Black is going. Do you want to bounce and con again?
That's fine.
All right.
Well, you want me to talk Italy into Ionian degrees and then bounce him there, right?
I think it's spring, so it's safe. Even if you get into Greece, if you decide that you want to turn around and help me win the board top, at that point it would be pretty safe.
I think that makes sense. And then you go to 10 with Norway or Sweden. You can't lose anything. I don't think anybody else can get to 10. And also 11 if you need it in Ankh.
Okay, just to seal the deal.
And just if as fall begins you're not sure, go ahead and take Ankh. If you're sure you can win with 10 and you want to leave me at 2, I would say thank you.
Okay, Christian, you're such a gentleman.
Okay.
So Christian wants Russia to top this board. So,
I mean,
is this the last game year then?
So I'm not sure. Our games typically end in 1906 or 1907. I'm not sure how far they got. It's 1906 is a pretty common year end, so they're definitely thinking this is going to be a last turn.
I'm going to interject here and just say I'd rather not know. I know that it will be soon.
I was just wondering because when I play with Minnesota, we know when the last game year is, right? That impacts a lot of the actions that we take.
It's really fun. The players know that, and that's good. The players know, but it's kind of fantastic that we don't know.
And also in the Weasel system, it's no game year can start before a certain time to make sure that it ends by 11 p.m. So depending on how fast the negotiations go, sometimes you're like within a minute or two of having another game year. So they'll know whether it's the last year or not, but they won't know going into that last year, for sure.
So what do we think? Do we think Russia might be the board top for this game then? Or do we think Italy's got a shot?
I think it should be Italy, but it won't be. Like, it's a terrible thing to say, Peter McNamara, I love you, but I think I'm going to just roll the dice and say this is Carlos's board to not top.
I think that's a fair statement. Even without the negotiations that we heard, I would tend to agree with that. But there's still room to play. Like there's a lot of other players that could have a say, that will have a say. That's what's fun to me about this kind of game is you've got so many different people who have pissed each other off that now are going to make a choice about how they feel about who's going to top this board. And I have no idea.
Explain to me in which way anyone has not pissed off everyone else in some way during this game. I think my bothersome thing about Italy is MAO to Gascony.
Why?
Like, why?
Well, it solidifies like well,
go to Irish, go to NAO, be better than this.
Well, I assumed he didn't think that fleet in Picardy would be there, right? In which case you could probably take Brest if you're in gas.
I mean, sure, but NAO was always guaranteed. Just move the fleets up.
What do you do in NAO though, right? Like, this is why, like, if you're operating with this is the last year, then you're gonna have a different calculation than this game goes on for another 3-4 years, right?
I hate the forced end of a game.
It does make a massive difference on like what your choices are going to be, right?
So cute. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why you're like, all right, where do I get that other center? I moved to Gascony. It's guaranteed pretty much. And I forced Brest, and then I get Brest, right? Of course, now it's not going to work because English went to Picardy.
Yeah. You don't, it turns out. I guess I get it, but I don't.
Moving to North Atlantic might be like the better long-term strategic goal, but this is like not a game where you're going to get to where that would be useful.
Yeah, I agree.
So
let's find out what happens.
Yes, let's do it. Oh, he tries for Brest. It doesn't work. Shocking. But we're in the last year, so.
Are we for sure? Are we for sure? Is this it?
I am not sure, but the moves on the board are telling me the players probably think it is.
I think the next year is probably it. Oh, poor Turkey. Leaves Greece.
He lets him have it. He lets him. He wasn't joking. That voice clip was legit. He lets him have Austria. He leaves Greece.
Oh, Christian Kline, that is heartbreaking.
Wow.
I guess it was like Chicago above all. Fuck you, Italy. Yeah. Go back to Austria.
It could also be that he just did not have a good relationship with Italy. And you'll see, like, at the beginning of the game, he had 3 people up against him. Like, it's entirely possible he is still mad about that first, like, decision of who to come for him.
No, and I do that too. It's it feels like England and Germany have figured their shit out because Germany in North Sea is supporting England into Norway. Yeah, no, it's... Alright, okay. I mean, we're getting towards the end here, so it's getting...
All right. So from this position, we've got Russia. Russia is going up at least one, right? What else does it look like they're getting?
This is so Vienna support for Trieste, right? Is that what I'm saying?
Who owned Trieste?
Maybe Austria. No, I don't know. But poor Italy did not make any friends this game.
No, they did not. But the question about who owned Trieste is very important because Russia is going up Ankara, up Sweden, and possibly also up Trieste if they did not also own it. So possibly 3 bills.
How did we completely overlook the fact that Russia got into Sweden? And
wait, yeah, no, they did that in spring. I mean, held it.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're possibly up 3 depending on who owned Trieste previously.
I think it's Austria. I think Austria. Yes.
Yeah, but Russia only has 2 on which to build: Warsaw and Sevastopol.
Well, Zach has what will probably be our last audio clip. We've got some more negotiations with Club Scorpion Christian Kline. And,
he's the worst.
What's going on?
Well, I mean, if you want to cut Albania,
2 minutes to the deadline.
Tell me what you prefer.
I think this gives me more options if you do the Bulgaria-Greece thing. I'm gonna go for the Bulgaria move. Let's try that. It's more interesting.
All right.
So for the record, I do not consent to anyone playing my negotiations on a live stream in any future game. So no one knows what level of snake I actually am.
Okay. So fair, and we can talk about this later. At least in very future games, it's fine because it was Chicago Weasels because y'all are the worst. We need consent from every player saying like, oh yeah, of course you can drop into my conversation. But the goal here, and I will just speak here, Tanya, is that the goal is to do our best to replicate face-to-face play.
Of course.
As we aren't able to gather. And to do a live stream channel that can be sort of the sports channel. They're like, let's look in live as to what's happening in game 201. You know, so.
Oh, it's great entertainment. Don't get me wrong. I was just saying from a player standpoint. No way.
Well, I would like to ask Siobhan, what do you take of that negotiation? To me, that sounded a little different than the one before it.
So I've almost forgotten all of that negotiation, and I'm so sorry. That was Christian Kline as Turkey talking to Peter McNamara. Oh, Peter. So Christian Kline was, I think, as I recall, and I'm so sorry, everyone, I've sort of lost it in our chitter chatter.
So what I heard was it sounded to me like he was negotiating with Peter McNamara, the Australian, to perhaps turn on Russia.
But, okay, just to clarify, was that a spring 1906 sound clip? Because it sounded to me as if, because he said a Greece Bulgaria thing. So it sounded
There
to
was
me
a
like
whole conversation around Bulgaria. Yeah.
Turkey to move to Bulgaria, which would not make sense in the fall.
Yeah, it could have been. I have in my notes that it was fall 06, but either way, I think it does give us some insight into the conversation that's going on down there.
Yeah, no, it's I feel like Christian was grasping at straws. Honestly, I love you, Christian Kline. You are such a top tier player, but you got dealt such a dirty hand.
He did? Where?
But Christian Kline in Turkey?
In
Like
3 versus 1. Yeah.
it's but he held out really, really well. And he made them fight for it. And it's either that's gotta be Carlos or Cori who's gonna top this board.
How does Cori top this board? So she gets Eddie back. But she leaves Sweden.
Yeah, the whole Eddie thing. Now it's gotta be Carlos. Carlos tops this.
Carlos tops. Tanya, you agree?
I think that's what the board tells us, right?
I mean,
yeah. All right. Well, let's find out. Winter 06.
0 builds, 0 disbands. That's super interesting.
And this is our game. This is the final result.
Okay.
So Russia ends on 12.
Carlos!
Congratulations, Carlos.
Congrats. I think Russia and Italy both played great games here. Like, really fun to comment on and watch, and just like great moves in general.
They really did. And Germany, Cori, I love you. I really, really do. You were like almost there. There was like tweaks that would have been better.
She did really well, for sure.
Oh yeah. She absolutely did really well. And as tracks with her history with the Weasels and her just like showing up and just being a bomb of like, hey, I am good at this game. But as a person who showed up in the game of diplomacy and was really good the first time I showed up and then was terrible for years and years and years and years afterward. Build Fleet Kiel earlier. I'm sorry, as Germany, just do it. Like,
yeah, I mean things feel right at the time you do them, and then you look back and you're like, maybe I shouldn't have done that, right?
Oh yeah, I have made every single one.
I've definitely been in a position where I'm Germany and I have built 2 armies instead of a fleet. I don't do that anymore, but I've done that when I was starting out for sure. I did that lots of times.
And I've done it 100 times myself. Brian, it looked like you were about to say something. I don't want to cut you off.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask just some specifics here. Siobhan, how would you describe the flow of this game? Like what was the story of this game for you?
This was Chaos Monkeys. There were so many changing friendships and who was helping who. And I kind of love that. That's where I thrive in diplomacy. So we talked at different points in the game of like, oh no, Germany has the best place. Oh no, Austria has a good place. Oh no, Italy, definitely it's gonna be Italy. Oh no, England has a good place. I love the kind of game that shift happens so often and so frequently. And I hate playing in it, even though I am so good playing in that environment.
How about you, Tanya?
This is the first time I'm doing this, right? So Siobhan is the pro. She's commented on boring to super exciting. But I don't know. I had a lot of fun watching this one. I don't usually watch diplomacy games. I prefer to play, but this was great. Like, just to comment on, there was a lot of moving pieces, not some weird stalemate, not a boring Western triple. So, like, I had a good time watching this one. I think the pace was great. You know, you had a lot of turns where you did not like it could have gone anyway, right? Like, any alliance could have dominated the board or stabbed each other or whatnot. So I think that makes for a really fun game to comment on. So kudos to the players for making it entertaining, at least. And it ended up with a really, like, I would have liked to see how this would have continued, right? Where did the stalemate lines end up? Does someone solo? Like, there was a lot of play left in this game. It would have been really exciting to see it.
So this, I loved watching this game. I think this is played like a classic Weasel Bar game. I was thrilled to see that. I think, to me, the big story in this game, obviously, our board topper Carlos, but it was not his tactical decisions. But I think we'll have to ask the other players. I suspect that Carlos won this game with his charm. And I think that's an underrated skill in diplomacy. And I mean, look, 1905, he's sitting at 7 along with a bunch of his peers, and then he ends this game at 12. That says he did something right, and or maybe a little less wrong than all of his peers.
Oh, well, for sure. I'm going to absolutely agree with you here, Brian. It's Carlos. While his tactics in this specific game have not been perfect, and we'll talk about that later, Carlos, I love you. He is one of the most charming, just like, he makes you want to work with him kind of people. And that works, people. Like, just turn on the charm and figure out what other people want from you when they're talking to you.
I'm going to play a little bit devil's advocate-ish here, okay?
Sure.
Not that he's not charming. I'm sure he's very charming. I don't really know. But to what extent he was thrown quite a few dots, right? Like, at least from Turkey gave him 2 dots, he ended up getting Sweden back. To what extent is that Chicago players saying, I scratch my back, you scratch, I scratch your back, you scratch mine in another game?
Yeah, that's a really interesting
question. Where Italy could not provide that same service, right?
Yeah.
So to what extent does that factor into who, Christian decides to dot at the end of the game?
Yeah, so that is a very interesting question. In fact, in the comments, Chris Kelly's talking about that specifically. We've had some pretty lively chatter on our website and various chat forums about that exact concept. Christian Kline tends to be more in the, hey, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Many of our other players, like myself in particular, Chris Kelly, I believe, is in the same boat, do not agree with that. And so I don't think it's so much a club thing as it is a personality thing. Christian is very much a, hey, if we work together, I'm going to be your friend. If we don't work together, I'm going to make your life miserable and make sure that somebody else wins. Pete McNamara did not have the insight to that little piece of knowledge, that little quirk. So a slight disadvantage there. I do think Pete played a fantastic game. And I would say from a tactical standpoint, I had a ton of respect for the choices he made.
Definitely. And I just, I bring it up because from my recollection, Italy has taken 0 Turkish dots, right? And Russia took multiple. Mm-hmm. So if I'm Turkey there, I probably, at the end of the game, try and harm Russia more. But you guys have a whole league, and there are many games going on. So my calculation would then change.
Yeah,
the league. this was a standalone game, the end would be a bit different,
Yeah,
potentially.
league diplomacy is a different game. But let's pull in Christian and Wes, and we'll find out from them what their thought process was.
Great.
Christian, Wes, welcome.
Hi.
And I'm going to go ahead and pull in Brandon, our GM, as well.
Stay
Do
on
you want me
Zoom
to
at the
step
same
out?
time.
There's a lot of people.
It seemed an impossible feat, yet he's done it.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'll pull
Wait,
out.
will they hold me on as well? Why am I on there?
All right. Well, so while everyone else figures out what's going on, Christian in Turkey, Wes in Austria. Tell me a little bit about this game. Christian, especially early game. What were you feeling?
A lot of hatred towards Wes.
Wait, really towards Wes? Why?
No hatred towards Wes. No, quite the opposite. I was feeling that maybe I wouldn't get targeted by all my neighbors, and then that feeling turned out to be untrue.
Oops. We're such big targets. It's so awful. No.
Yeah.
Wes, did you feel like from the conversations you had with the other players, was there a reason why you decided to attack Christian early, or was that an early game decision, or did you wait to see how it played out?
I mean, it felt like a fairly early game decision. Everybody seemed mostly on board, but it was. I mean, I don't think it crystallized until late, until 02. So I think there was still room for things to move around up to that point. But Christian's a really strong player, and there was a sense of of him being one to try to root out in Turkey early would be to all of our benefit, and so that was part of the negotiation that went. And then I think Carlos, especially after the first year, felt like he was kind of locked into that, and Peter went along with it and didn't really show any indication of not going along with it. So that was, I think, just how it evolved.
So Christian, what was your strategy around here? Did you expect the board to turn on you, or did you feel like something else was going to happen?
No, I thought the offer I made to Wes in what was it? I guess it was 1902.
This one right here.
I think it was, yeah, this turn here. I thought it was a pretty attractive offer. What he did instead, I think, is also an attractive offer. And believe me, I understand killing Turkey. If Austria has a chance to kill Turkey, that's a wonderful opportunity and something he sometimes can't afford to pass up. Wes and I have worked together before. I might have relied a little bit too much on that because sometimes it's hard to work with a guy, or a girl. You get the sense that you're not on the same page strategically or tactically. And Wes and I know that we can work together, and that's that hurdle having already been jumped over, and with a clear path against Russia. I thought I was surprised that you jumped the way that you did, Wes. So well done.
Thanks. Yeah, it was an attractive offer, and so there was definitely a bit of a consternation on my part about whether to go through with it.
But if the other two guys are saying, let's kill Turkey, there's not a lot I can if Russia and Italy say let's kill Turkey. I got to offer you all of that and a chocolate chip cookie because killing Turkey is very attractive. I know.
Yeah.
As Austria, especially.
So moving on a little here, this was a little fun. Talk to us about this situation.
So
is this the turn that they all stabbed each other?
No. Wes, you first.
Yeah, so the preface to this is the choice for Carlos to get into Bulgaria rather than me. in fall of 02, and that that was in part predicated. That was me trying to be a good ally and predicated on the idea that he would be losing Sweden in the north, and so that would be it made sense to kind of keep him going there. He ended up keeping Sweden, but he ended up also waiving the build, so which was nice. So we kind of towards and then in the spring of 03, we went back and forth exactly on what to do here, and I thought we had agreed that it didn't make much difference. An army was going to be in Bulgaria, and I wanted it to be mine. And I thought Carlos had agreed on that, and Carlos decided to not follow through with that and rotate the armies around. But so it was a minor stab on that sense. But he still moved down to Armenia.
That race wasn't agreed to?
No.
Oh my God! I absolutely thought this was agreed because I thought it was such a clever way to make sure that neither one of you could stab the other.
No, it was not agreed.
Yeah, doesn't it look like that super cute, like, I'm so good at this game that we can figure out how to not do anything while, quote unquote, trying to do something.
Yeah.
So, Christian, we had a little bit of audio of your negotiation with Wes. I think it was this turn. There was some conversation about maybe putting Serbia into Bulgaria. Was it this turn?
Could have been.
It was. Yeah.
So, Wes, what was your thought process about not taking that?
Well, I went for Bulgaria.
No,
I would have taken the support.
It couldn't have been this turn because if you had asked for my support into Bulgaria, I would have given it.
I didn't explicitly ask. That's right. I probably should have.
Yeah, Christian, I'm pretty sure we'll go back and watch the stream. But if I'm understanding it right, which that's a big if, it sounded like you were offering to support Serbia to Bulgaria in this turn.
I would absolutely.
Yeah.
I would. There isn't much I wouldn't offer at this point.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm gonna say is, y'all go back, listen to the stream, listen to the audio clip we got, and you can fight that out.
You made the offer, but I don't know if I really accepted the offer. In which case, you would have been in your rights to not do it.
I didn't believe any of this was going to happen. What I thought was going to happen was a supported attack on Khan, and then I thought, and the risk I was taking here, I thought you might sneak a convoy into Smyrna or something, but you got to take some risks.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. Wes, there was a period right around this time where on the screen we were talking about how much we loved the Austrian position.
Yeah.
Then I think one question I had, was this negotiated? Was this purposeful, or did you just get it taking advantage of a misorder?
I got very lucky. Yeah.
Okay. So you went from that position to this.
Yeah. It very quickly fell apart. So in the spring, in the spring of this turn, it was the time I also thought my position was very good, and so it felt like the time then to make a move either against Russia or Italy, and so I was going, and both were possible. I was going back and forth in my head a bit about doing it. But I thought, I picked the wrong one. I think I picked the wrong one. And then in this turn, my position is still okay. I thought I had a total blind spot that Carlos would work with Peter. I thought I had convinced Carlos by moving against Italy that he and I could work together and that we could make the Austria-Russia thing work. I figured that if he did some kind of stab, then I would be okay still. And it didn't even enter my mind that they could work together and make that stab even more effective.
All right. Well, we need to give everyone else on the board some time. But Christian, before we do that, let's talk about how you ended this game. We also had some audio of you communicating with. It sounds like trying to make a deal with both Italy and Russia, and clearly you ended up working with Russia. What was your thought process here?
Oh, I was lying to Italy the entire time. I thought that you said it accurately a couple minutes ago. I either play for a board top or I play to help my ally board top and make somebody else miserable. And it seemed to me that Wes was already miserable. And Italy, I think Brian Acton said it best a couple of games ago. I thought Italy weakening me for nothing was not really super play. And I have no problem with Lepanto, but a Lepanto that gets nothing. So, and also there's this other dynamic where for the turn that Germany walked out of Sweden, you get the feeling, oh, okay, well, if everyone's going to hand the game to Russia, I guess I will also. I mean, a German fleet walked out of Sweden.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Yeah.
All right. So,
and you got to think also, as a practical matter, if I have any chance of ending the game with any dots at all, if you're going to be somebody's Janissary, you can't be a Janissary to a weak player. You got to be a Janissary to the one who's strong.
Did your league standings, like maybe trading a favor with somebody else who's playing the league versus somebody who's traveling and may not play in the league, did that influence the decision at all?
I wish I could say I was that strategic, but you know me, Brian. I get pissed off on the board, and I do things to hurt or help people on the board. And then later I realized that I fucked myself in the standings. This time I didn't fuck myself in the standings, but at least a couple of years, I think I fucked myself out of the Royale doing shit like this.
Sure, let's go with that.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for playing. This is a very, very entertaining game, and we're going to move on to our next group.
Bye.
All right. So bring Tanya back in.
Yeah.
Hey. Took the time to enter in some backstabber moves because that's what
I don't do that anymore.
While we're waiting on the other players to join the stream, Siobhan or Tanya, is there anything you want to shout out, bring to the attention of anyone?
I have many, many thoughts given the recent state of especially the United States and North America. And as the president of the North American Diplomacy Federation, I feel like I can't really, in good conscience, stay quite silent. And so, at the very least, I want to take just a very brief moment and say that the NADF and diplomacy, Black Lives Matter. That is not a question. We are behind that 100% all the way. We have made such tremendous strides in the last few years towards inclusion and safety and all the good things. And if you give me a couple minutes, that's what I'm going to preach.
Awesome.
I just second Siobhan's message. That's all I have to say.
Well, I feel like sometimes just very grateful that we're able to be together and play something like this, and all the events going on in the world right now certainly put things in perspective and make me grateful and glad to be part of this community. So, okay, we have Cori in the stream, so we'll bring Cori in.
Hey,
Cori.
Hey, girl.
I'm absolutely loving that right now it's 3 girls and 1 guy instead of the opposite, which is like, I feel a really awesome change, and I'm very supportive of it.
Side note, given your Facebook post recently, Cori, I am wearing crop top for you.
Oh, thank you. I did not want to wear one today, but
Yeah.
I did.
Well, mostly it's like buried during the stream. So
that's why you changed.
No, it's because it's like 9,000 degrees in California right now, and I put on a more comfortable pair of shorts and a very crop top because I need the air. I'm boiling.
Chicago is very hot and very humid. I think right now it might be raining. It might be cooler, but it's been awful.
Yeah, no, it's awful here, and I don't love it. It's been basically the apocalypse in the Bay Area. So,
but yeah, can we shout out to the fact that we have 3 women on this stream right now? Like, come on, let's get some more.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's like I was saying, we need more diversity in every context. We need more women. We need more POC. We need more all of it. And
more women POCs. Am I right? Yeah.
Yes. No, as a white woman, no, more women POCs. Yes, please give me all of them. Like,
yeah, for sure. Especially if we could get our women to man ratio above like 5%, that would be really fantastic. Just great. That would be great.
We are getting better.
Yes.
But we're not there yet. And I am fighting the fight, and you can't make people love diplomacy is the
You don't say.
It's like no, you should love this thing, and they're just like, no, I don't love it. I'm just like,
all right.
Well, let's talk some diplomacy. Spring 1901, Cori.
Yes.
Talk to us about the West.
So, I have recently experienced, as in many games in a row, this phenomenon of if you don't make a decision, someone else will make the decision for you. And so then you get locked into a game that's actually not the game you want to play. And that has kept happening to me for whatever reason, my fault. Exactly. And so this time I actually went to both France and England. And I told England if he got into the English Channel, I would just attack France with him. And then I went and told France, hey, England just told me he's moving to the English Channel. I would suggest bouncing him to the English Channel. Kind of just like, whichever one of you throws out first, I'm just going to go with that one. And that's what happened. Yeah,
and
exactly.
Chris, you speaking of bold moves, you made one of the boldest possible moves that you can do in 1901. Talk to us about the thought process here.
When I went for the English Channel?
Yes.
It was fun. And he practically told me that he was going to go to like MAO, and I was like, English Channel sounds like a great place to be. I wasn't all that like devious. It's just he said that he really wanted a DMZ, and it seemed like I was able to work with Cori to take out France early, and I decided to go for it. And for a lot of reasons, it didn't quite work out as well as I'd hoped. But that's how it goes.
Let's see how we get to that point. So you've got the convoy into Belgium. You're looking pretty good here. Cori,
yeah.
Let's talk about this build. What was your thought process of the 2 armies?
So Chris said, I assume you're going to build 2 armies. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll build 2 armies. That was literally it. Like, to be fair, I haven't played this game very long. Like, why is that the worst thing ever if England's my friend and I don't want to piss off Russia?
Tanya, you want to take that one?
It kind of boxes you in to have less flexibility later on, right? So if you're in a long-term EG alliance, let's say, okay, the goal for the game in a non-time game is that, like, you solo or you top the board, right? At some point, that probably means you're going to stab your ally. And if you only have armies as Germany, you can't really do that to England. So I like to build a fleet in 1901 as Germany, because you have the ability to then take Sweden if you want. You know, you don't sort of invite other players to attack you. You know, if you, I totally get the whole, I'm playing for the alliance and therefore I'm going to build 2 armies because why should I build a fleet? I'm going to piss off my allies. But it's kind of the only time you have to build a fleet if you're going to be in an
Got
EG.
it. That's fair.
Yeah.
Fair point.
So you're kind of, it's a bit of a selfish move, but I think it's something that like people are willing to forgive, and that's the time to do it.
Got it.
Chris, how did you feel when you saw this double army move? Did that influence your diplomacy at all?
I think that I should have talked more with France, because this position is like very much anti-France, and I wasn't. I mean, it affected me with the 2 armies, and it really seemed like we were going to be able to gain some like good momentum. But then, like Italy was kind of slow on the uptake with.
Got it. So moving.
I should have gotten. Maybe I should have gotten another fleet, like in London instead.
When you watched the stream, there was some conversation and not agreement amongst the stream about that build. So yeah, go back and check that out. Moving on here. Oh, this one was fun. So Cori, let's talk about Sweden to Baltic here. What's going on at this point in the game?
I think when this happened, I said like, oh, I just really wanted to trust Carlos. Like I just really wanted to trust him, and so this was actually, I should have paid more attention to this at the time. So I had told Carlos that he could have Sweden in order to fight Christian, so that he wasn't going to like stay static. But the deal was that he couldn't build anything in STP, nothing. And then immediately he builds an army, which sent us down the path that it did. But this was literally me just being like, okay, Carlos, against all my experience with you, I'll trust you right now and let you have this, and this won't bite me later. So that's on me.
I do want to point out that in the comments, Chris says that he does disagree with me. That in his opinion, that like your 2 army build was perfectly fine, and it ended up working out for you, and it did work out for you. Like that was fine. Like you can go both ways on this argument. So
I just realized this had a live comment. I really wish I'd seen that earlier. There's a lot of judgment in here. I'm sure you guys know that.
Well, moving on here, Cori, you made a move here this turn. I would say this was one of the bigger moves we saw on the board. What was your thought process here?
So Chris and I had been trying to figure out about what the best way was to deal with France, and I was not convinced that Italy was just there for some dot grabbing and not some France helping. We could not come to an agreement about how to go forward, and one of the things I was mainly concerned about is I didn't think he was going to get an MAO, which he did end up getting into it, but I thought that my suggestion of the 3 fleets, so bringing the fleets up, so that we had 3 on there too when I knew that fleet was coming in. We couldn't get an agreement on it. And I just felt that staying with him any longer was going to be a detriment to me. That if I tried to help him fight what looked like a feudal battle, I would just get destroyed along with him.
Siobhan, you had some thoughts about this position. Anything you wanted to share?
I had many thoughts about this turn. So Cori, it felt very stabby. You took Sweden from Russia, you took Belgium from England.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, England, Chris Brown, I see you here. You forced MAO, which is a great thing to do, but then France retreats to the North Atlantic Ocean. Did that make you nervous?
Yeah. It made me nervous.
Yeah, as it should. It turns out that unit did kind of nothing for a long time, so... yeah, so... oh, thank you, Cori, for finally building a fleet, but you move it to Baltic... Like, why? Cori.
I don't know. I think I thought I could still play nice with England. And so I was like, I know Carlos is going to be a problem. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I don't actually hate, I mean, in my own defense, I actually don't hate this move right now. I mean, granted, I'm not as experienced as you guys, but I knew Carlos was going to be a problem. I knew it. I didn't know that Chris was going to be a problem. I thought it was salvageable. So,
okay.
I thought it was salvageable. So I was like, if I know Carlos is going to be a problem in the future, then I have to do it now when he doesn't have anything here. So, I mean, that's kind of why I went that direction.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And when you watch back the stream, I apologize very deeply for the harsh things that I said early on.
I literally called it. I literally said it in the Zoom call. I was like, who's going to be judging me on these moves right now? Because I need to know who it is before I do this set of orders. And then Brandon told me it was Siobhan, and I was like, oh, I don't know. You know, that could go either way. She likes me, but I'm stupid, so it's like I'm not sure. But, you know,
I love you, Cori. I love you so much, and I love you, Chris Brown. I saw some great stuff from you tonight as well. Yep. But
Chris, I'm curious. So, what went through your head when you saw Germany take Belgium from you?
I didn't think that it was quite. I thought we were doing a lot of good stuff, and yeah, there was. If we go back, it didn't seem like things were quite as. It seemed like going for MAO and getting into English Channel was going to lead to a lot of good things, and I thought that she was going to be holding Roar there, and then we'd be able to do some more stuff. You know, like take Paris. Once I have MAO and she has Burgundy, we could like take Paris and take Brest or some combination thereof. And then the Irish Sea supports Liverpool, and I get another build, so I'm able to put something in Edinburgh. I really felt like we're on the verge of getting something very good here. So
after that, did you feel like you could keep working with her, or were you like, screw this?
We tried, but then, you know, for a lot of the game, Holland was just sitting there, and I was thinking, like, how is Holland really helping? You know, maybe Holland goes to Kiel, and it didn't seem like, you know, it didn't quite.
All right, so I will also just to finish up conversation around the stab here. There was a lot of chatter about this in both the stream and in chat. A lot of mixed opinions here. So this will be a fun one to go back and rewatch for it. You definitely had some people on Team Cori.
That's cool. That's good to hear.
I have a question. Okay. Why did you walk out of the Baltic, out of Bosnia in, like, I think it was 1905?
Oh, that was...
Yeah, here.
Yeah, at this point you walk out.
Yeah. We had so many questions about that.
I knew that I couldn't support it, so I don't know. I don't know why I wouldn't just sit there. But I mean, I knew it wasn't going to hold. I knew it was going to be a retreat.
No, hold it.
It would have held if you had held it right there.
What? Oh.
Yeah.
Because they cut at the support. Yeah.
Oh, then it's a mistake on my part for not noticing what I was doing at that time.
No,
That's
and
fair. These are really fast turns. Like, there's no way you can get just perfect
I
moves.
can't, and I think this turn I was super concerned with trying to fix my relationship with England if that was possible, and I'm not sure I was really thinking about a lot of things other than that goal.
fair.
That's why he moved out of Eddie here.
So yeah, that's not me.
I'm just going to jump in here with the live comments from the feed. Chris Kelly is saying that Cori is still trying to milk the "Oh, I'm still a new player. Please underestimate me" pitch.
It is still slightly true, though.
No, please. I have been playing this game for 17 years, and I am still playing it, and it works. Like, do not let go of a pitch that works. If it works for you, keep it.
I'm just saying, it's still slightly true. Like, a lot of your comments are totally legit, and if I thought about it at the time, I'm like, oh, damn, of course. But, I mean, I think I have less than 20 games. So, yeah, I'm new, but not that new. I get it.
So let's move on to the end game. Chris, talk to me about your thought process here. You're probably not topping the board. You probably know it's the last year. What's your motivation at this point in the game?
I want as many bases as I can. So I want to find my 5 and keep my 5. And it seems more likely that there's going to be something. I predicted that Spain was going to go to MAO and MAO was going to go gas, so I need 3 defense. So it seemed likely to me that the Picardy move would work and the London move would work. And I was just taking a shot at the dark for a Brest to Paris move. So that was the only way to, even if the Paris went to Brest with support, I'd still be able to retreat back here and then take it back in the new season.
So Cori, in the game for you here, what are you trying to accomplish?
I was very unsuccessful in trying to stop the gap of Carlos's points in comparison to everyone else's. You guys haven't got it here yet, but honestly, the only thing I was doing at this point was do not let Carlos just make a massive leap forward. And then for Christian, MF and Kline, and I've already told him this, to throw these dots, Drew, oh man, I am angry, but I shouldn't be. I guess it's only 3 points, but to me, it really felt defeatist. People had worked so hard, not just me, but other people worked so hard to recover their position on the board. And for Christian to throw dots. Oh.
Yeah. Hey, Cori, my heart hurts in support for you. I get it.
So, Chris, whose game did you like? What game did you respect most on this board?
Other than yourself, which you can totally respect yourself.
No one is a perfectly acceptable answer.
Yeah, that is also perfectly acceptable. Also, you cannot comment because
I kind of liked. I thought that Italy was kind of funny. Some of his moves were like blowing up he was so innocent with his whole oh no, you tried to go to Paris and I attacked Burgundy? That, I don't know why that happened. And I was like, okay, so clearly somebody's trying to be a little bit more melodramatic than he needs to be. A man after my own heart. So,
Man after my heart too.
Yes.
Tyrone, I see you in the comments. Good night.
Someone in the comments, Tata, is asking Cori about your move to York from the North Sea.
So I thought that I was going to be dislodged. I don't know. Maybe I guess I have a habit of moving before I've actually been dislodged. So I was assuming I was going to be dislodged with a English-French alliance, and I wasn't. But I went to York thinking that was what was going to be that was what was going to happen. So then, depending on which home center was free, he'd have to guess.
I mean, and I'm just gonna say there were some beautiful moves, Chris, on your part. It's like as England, like the moving to Picardy, the moving to the Channel, and it obviously all worked because Peter McNamara. When you listen to this later, it's not that I hate you, but why did you put the fleet in Gascony?
He's listening right now.
I'm sure he is, and I will deal with his hate later, and I will be the person to be angry about it. But like,
I think it makes sense, that move. I don't know what you hate about it.
why does it make sense?
We'll ask Peter in just a second. Before we do that, though, Cori, there's one very important question I want to end for you. The chat is asking, what is the large tallboy drink in your hand?
Oh, it's just a PBR, guys. It's not special. or exciting.
Cheers, Cori.
Cheers.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
All right.
All right, Chris, I love you. I wish we had talked more with you, but we'll talk next time.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Well, let's bring in the Australian himself, Mr. Peter McNamara, and Carlos, our board top.
Hey.
Oh,
hey.
Oh, whoops. Was I just
First, let's say congratulations to Carlos on a very nice score in Russia. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I believe it's my first board top as a weasel.
Wow. Congratulations.
The weasel game, anyway.
That cannot be true.
It is. I don't play really that often, and when I do, I'll get close to board top. But obviously I have to thank Christian Kline for his support, and
he's very hamstringed and handcuffed support. It's like, oh, I guess
it was. Yeah, but and it was a joy to play with Peter McNamara, who I'd never played with before.
Yes. Thank you, Peter, by the way, for stepping in as I hear.
Good to play with you too, Carlos. Well done on your win.
Thank you.
So Peter has played a few games with the Weasels before, so I was very happy to see him fill in. Very grateful for you being our backup player. What was it like, Peter, to face a board full of Weasels?
I think I've played with a board full of weasels a few times, so I'm a bit used to it by now. It's just another game. You've got 6 other players that you have to sort of try and manipulate into working with you for some strange reason. Why would anyone ever want to do that? But it's good.
Your accent helps. I feel like people are automatically attracted to that, and
I like the club in Chicago. It's good that you have a lot of regular games. I wish we had that here.
Yeah, I feel really lucky for that. Is there no club in Melbourne?
There's not much regular play in Melbourne. We may have actually had the last face-to-face tournament before the pandemic shut everything down in the middle of March.
Well, Pete, let's talk through 1901. What was your mindset as Italy?
No, go back to spring.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as 1901 felt fairly standard in the South, at least. I did not really know what was going on in the North. I sort of suspected that someone might be moving against France. But in the South, Wes seemed like he wanted to work with me, and Carlos seemed like he wanted to work with me, and Christian was very worried that everyone was going to kill him. And so
we were sort of debating the benefits of moving Venice to Apulia instead of just holding Venice and moving to Apulia. So what's the sell on this move set?
Well, it's fancy. It doesn't actually achieve anything different unless Austria actually moves to Venice.
Okay.
Right. So I've never seen this happen with Austria move to Venice, but I read about it in an article that Toby Harris wrote once. And he said that if Austria does move Trieste to Venice, it's then an easier sell to get Austria to move Trieste to Albania in fall of 01 if you're not actually in Venice.
Toby Harris, a world champion from England, I believe, or the UK.
He's one of the best players I've ever faced.
London or outside London, yeah.
Awesome. So, Carlos, how about you? 1901, what's your thought process?
Super standard. My one goal for this entire game was to beat Wes.
Why?
I can go to bed happy tonight for that. Although I didn't really intend to almost kill him, but I think I told Peter at first that was the sort of situation, and I was very happy that it ended up kind of following through that way. So you have a very standard Russian opening. Cori and I, when you're playing with a club, to some people, the standings within the club are important, and the end of the year for our season is coming up before too long, and I think we were both interested in trying to get a board top tonight. So we decided that we were going to sort of have a kind of a détente during this whole thing. She saw what kind of problems I was having in the south, and graciously allowed me to come into Sweden. On the with the one caveat that I didn't build in St. Petersburg, which I did.
Spoiler.
But that was. But this was with this is so silly. This was with the full intention of actually attacking West. So I didn't want. I felt like if I actually built in Warsaw, that would have started a fight between Wes and I. And his position was so good, and he and I had talked about working together. Russia, Austria doesn't. Has that ever succeeded? Has anyone had an experience where Russia, Austria works?
Yeah, yes. That's one of my favorite alliances.
I've never been able to figure out how to make it work. So I'll have to talk to you guys about how that happens.
If I'm Austria, I just make Russia put a fleet in Romania, and then it usually works out pretty well.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
That works in the south short term, but in longer term, you really want Russia to be strong in the north and Scandinavia in that alliance.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right, but because it was Christian Kline in Turkey, and I think pretty quickly we all decided it was clear what his moves were going to be. He didn't tell me that he was moving Smyrna to Armenia. In fact, I have a little list here. Spring 01, Christian Kline lies to me. Follow 1, Christian Kline lies to me. Spring 02, Christian Kline lies to me. And follow 2, Christian Kline lies to me. So it was really hard to get some trust going between us.
Oh my God, that's one of my favorite things I've ever seen on it.
So I was only happy that Peter was on board for the Lepanto, and that Wes was also on board for taking Turkey out as quickly as we could.
So, Peter, how do you feel about the Lepanto in general? Is that something you like to do as Italy?
I don't know what I like to do as Italy. In this case, Christian blocked me pretty effectively, so it didn't really work out. The main thing that the Lepanto actually achieved for me was keeping an Austrian alliance for longer than might have happened otherwise. But if you can get an army into Turkey as Italy, it's great long term.
Yeah, that would have changed things a lot. We talked early on about working together despite working with Austria in this scenario.
Yeah.
I loved your moves, and it was so surprising to see that you were able to sort of straddle the West and the East so well during this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was really impressive.
Well, I think one of the things is that Jay seemed to have given up as France a bit at the end of 1901, and was happy for me to move into Marseille. So like in spring of 02, everyone was happy for me to move to Piedmont, like the entire board, except maybe Christian, who wanted me to move to Trieste.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm happy if you had moved to Trieste, by the way.
Was that move to Marseille negotiated then?
Yes, it was negotiated.
Tanya, you were talking pretty highly about Peter's ability to straddle both theaters. What were your thoughts from what you saw?
My thoughts?
Yes.
Oh, Oh no, I just I mean, you can go back and watch all my thoughts on the stream. But I mean, I had assumed that there was some kind of deal made with France where Piedmont just walks into Marseille. Otherwise, he would have covered Marseille instead of taking Portugal, right? So I think Italy was in a pretty comfortable position where, you know, you get some dots from the West without really having to fight anyone. And it didn't seem to me like you were fighting anyone in the East really either. So like that, I thought that was like pretty well done. You were sitting pretty comfortably. You could send like a fleet to the east to try and get something out of Turkey, or you could, you know, sort of just get dots off the west. So good work on that, is what I said.
So Carlos, this was fun. Looked like maybe a shift in alliance at this point of the game. What was happening over here?
So I'm not used to face-to-face. It is so difficult to get all the negotiations in the amount of time that's allowed. And I was not very happy I wasn't really happy about Austria following me into Turkey. And at the last minute, he suggested that I sort of filter my armies around the Black Sea toward the north and coming back down to let him have Bulgaria. That was literally with a minute, maybe less than a minute to go. And I wanted him to think that everything was going to be okay. And I also didn't want to change the board too much. So knowing what his moves were, I just did the opposite to keep us in a kind of stasis. With, you know, if I had actually gotten, you know, into Serbia, I wouldn't have been too disappointed, but I thought that probably I wouldn't. And yeah, it ended up looking, I mean, he took it really poorly, actually, even though it didn't do anything. And it was the first sort of big alliance sort of faltering that we had between us. I tried to make up for it the next year, I think, by going Galicia to Silesia. I was also starting to get worried about how fast France was falling and how what Germany's position was starting to look like. But it became more interesting and more important for me to finally just come back and try to take care of things back at home.
Here you're moving into Iberia in 1903, walking in. How excited were you getting right out of the game?
At this point, I was still worried. I mean, this is actually the turn that the England-Germany alliance cracked. At this point, I was still worried that England-Germany was a dominating alliance and was likely to kick me out of Iberia if I didn't get reinforcements up there. Which is why I'm moving into Tyrolia and encouraging Carlos to move to Silesia. And I also wanted Wes to move to Bohemia on the same turn, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, I thought that would have been an interesting move, huh? That might have actually saved the alliance, or the three-way that we were talking about doing anyway.
Yeah.
So then from here on out, it becomes a sort of question of whether Austria and Russia are going to hold in an alliance or not. And at this point, his position was so strong that I said that the only way that I'm going to continue to work, that we could possibly work together, is if you take a strong position against Italy right now. And so he did. And it was the saddest, it was the saddest moves in a way. But you know, you have to take advantage where you can.
So Peter, is that a misorder?
Yeah, that's a misorder. I misclicked.
Oh, yeah. That's
the
thought there was no.
I meant to order Tyrolia to Venice there because after Germany stabbed, I didn't see any reason to be in Tyrolia anymore. So I figured I'd go back to Venice.
Yeah.
In the end, probably didn't change too much. Because I got Vienna, but I lost Venice, and I wouldn't have got Vienna probably.
It changed a little bit, and it's when I looked at it, I was like, okay, I could see an argument for Piedmont or for Venice, but Tuscany had to be
no.
like, there's no reason from Tyrolia for that to be an order. Unless you're Andrew Goff and you like to make crazy orders to Albania. Y'all reference our DixieCon stream if you want to know. Yeah, so that was actually very unfortunate for you.
It was very fortunate for me. If they had bounced there, I wouldn't have.
It was awful for you, Carlos.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I know. I had the lazy Russian game in the end. I was really worried the entire time, but it was sort of like Russia stayed nice and fat the entire game. So.
Yeah, so let's talk about someone who didn't stay nice and fat. Peter, how did that hurt you? What were your plans? What were you hoping to do if the move had been ordered as intended?
Well, my plans were to keep working with Wes. Whether or not he wanted to stab Russia or move into Germany, I didn't really mind. But if the order was written as intended and I bounced him, that was a hostile bounce, and I would have turned with Carlos and done something quite similar to what happened in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like this was a pretty big turn for you, Carlos, because you are accomplishing the goal you set out to do at the outset of the game. You are attacking Wes.
COVID has changed the world in so many ways and changed so many of my plans that I just have to take whatever goals I can achieve. I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to do it tonight, but this turn definitely helped.
Bish, please. I'm just trying to hold on to all the normal stuff in my life. I'm not trying to enter into any new stuff.
I know. It's so crazy.
Moving into 05, Pete, looks like you were working along with France to try and slow down the rest of the West. What was your thought here?
I think the main thing in 05 here in the West, I kind of wanted Paris myself, so I didn't want England to get it, which meant I was going to be working with France. And I was a little bit worried about Germany moving it onto Burgundy. But fortunately, we ended up with the German deciding that Warsaw was a juicy target, which it was.
So, Carlos, you built and turned on Germany. Was this because you knew it was getting close to time, or what was your thought here?
Yeah, there was a bit of that. Also, I wasn't going to be able to if I was going to take care of Austria, I needed Galicia at least for a turn. I was okay with losing Warsaw as long as I got something else. And so it seemed like the quickest way to get something was probably, it's also a decent defensive position. Honestly, it was, again, if I had had another 2 minutes to just think about it, or even a sandbox moment, I might have chosen a little bit differently. But yeah, that's what I did.
All right. Well, we'll go into the final year. We had some serious negotiations back and forth between Christian, kind of playing kingmaker down in the south a little bit. We have clips of him offering to work with both Pete and Carlos. Pete, what was he saying to you, and did you believe him?
So, in the spring, I thought it was great because everyone wanted to work with me who was important. I don't even think I spoke to Carlos this turn because it was clear that he was the enemy and the threat. But Christian was willing to take Greece, and Wes was willing to be put back into Vienna, and Cori was also willing to work against Russia. We negotiated that bounce in Burgundy there so that I could keep Paris nice and safe.
Mm-hmm. That was nice.
And then what happened in fall was with Christian and Wes was a bit of a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Have you played many time games?
I've played a few time games in Europe, in the tournaments there. I've played a bar game in Chicago many years ago, back at Guthrie's, probably in 2012. So I have some experience in time games, but I don't feel particularly very comfortable necessarily at the very end of them in knowing what's best all the time.
Yeah, it's so difficult.
And I think you even need to think about these things not in the last year, but like a couple of years before the last year in terms of whether you stab or not, etc. It's a different mindset.
All right. Well, to wrap it up, you board topped Carlos. You negotiated well, got your former opponents to give you dots, and arguably didn't even need those to top the board. So congratulations. What do you credit your success to this game?
Let's see. People willing to work with me, I think, is a great thing. You know, despite all that Christian Kline did for the first, let's say, 5 years of the game, he made up for it there at the end. And I really did believe it was more like the last two and a half years, really, that he was sort of coming on board. He made a really genuine plea that he wanted to stay in the game. And you know, he was offering, I don't think it's any surprise to people who know him. Apparently he plays this way, but he loves to janissary and be a sort of kingmaker. And so, you know, I'm willing to step into those shoes if I have to. So I tried to take advantage of as much as I could. And yeah, it was great play. It was great players. It was one of the most fun games that I've played, and it's not just for winning. Just because there was so much tension and so much good diplomacy all around, I have to say.
It was a really fun game to watch. So I guess Tanya, Siobhan, we're going to wrap this up. Do you have any last words for our board top?
Good job, guys. Super enjoyable game to watch. I had a really good time. I hope you, if you go back and see our comments, that you think they're fair. And yeah, thanks for sharing your thoughts with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for doing this. I know no one's getting paid for it, so it's nice to have a forum.
It's good fun. I'm usually the player, but it's actually good fun to be on the other side too.
Yeah, I've noticed a couple of really impressive Austria games that you've had recently. I need to take some notes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So Tanya hates Austria, as it turns out. She does really well. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
so,
I hate this game.
Own it. You're good. Carlos, you know I love you. And I was so pleased to see you do well here. I did not believe in you in all the stages during this game.
That's okay. I didn't either.
I had many questions, and we can talk about that. Peter, it's every stage of the game I was asked like, what power do I want to step into? And it was always that Italy. Like, that was the most interesting and I think even most like board topping possibility if we didn't have a time draw. Italy. And I loved it, and I was so glad to see you again, and one of these days come back to Whipping in California when we can hold it in person. And Carlos, you better come out too.
Heck yeah. Can't wait.
Yes.
It's great to see you guys. Thanks to Ryan for hosting.
All right.
Thank you to you guys for hosting.
So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. First of all, just want to remind everyone we've got Boston Massacre, virtual Boston Massacre coming up soon. So we'll post a comment on the stream with a link. So if you saw this stream and thought, hey, I'd like to try that, I think registration is still open. There will also be some future games, so just stay tuned to the Weasels website, to the Twitter, and we'll just keep everybody informed. Minnesota's going to do some more games. I think the Pick Pissers in DC have an event coming up. So we'll keep everyone up to date for future games. Tanya and Siobhan, it has been an absolute pleasure. And also shout out to Brandon Fogel for being our GM.
Yes.
And to Zach Moore figuring out a way to get us some audio to add that into the stream. That was a lot of fun. And Tanya and Siobhan, thank you so much for giving Brandon a break. And I had a blast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting.
So great.
All right. Well, see you guys next time. Have a good one.
All right. Good night.
See you.